back in 2018 when I was studying my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, my tutor or teacher at the time told the whole class, only 10% of you guys are going to make it.
I think I was so tired, I just forgot how being tired felt. I was just so tired all the time. I didn't realize my baseline was just tired. It's one of the key things that I teach in my sales course because they scam me so good.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rice and Mike's podcast. I am your host, Tung Nguyen, and today we have one returning guest. It's been a while. His name's Gary Lee. Welcome, Gary. Welcome.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, Gary. Gary Prime.
If you are an OG listener, Gary was on my podcast about 4 years ago.
Oh, was it 4 years ago?
September
Oh my
2020.
days. Oh.
And that was when you were like first starting as a PT.
Whoa.
But we'll get into more of that
That's
later.
like COVID time.
It was actually around COVID.
Yeah, COVID
We're
time.
breaking rules.
Am I allowed to spit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So got the
Don't pretend like you can talk any other way.
Christian podcast. We're allowed to swear. We have a second guest. His name is Philip.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The same energy.
So why is Philip here? Now I know Philip is very good friends with Gary. Maybe we'll start with how you two know each other.
Do you want to start us off, Gary? How we know each other?
No fucking clue.
I'll start us off then. So Gary's older brother, Will, and I actually met first. And we were really good. We started off as business, just colleagues, I suppose.
Yeah,
Because he used to run Adonis Castle Hill. And he invited me to do some workshops for him. And from there, we cultivated a friendship. And then eventually, I think Gary came to some weightlifting sessions to learn. And that's how I met Gary.
Yes.
And
Yes,
we
yes,
just
yes.
vibed from the get-go.
Fuck yeah.
And things just kind of blossomed from there.
And how long you guys known each other now? So it's how many years?
Yeah, around the length of my PT career, I guess.
Like
yeah.
just before you started, that was when we started to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Gary's been PTing for quite a while now, and I was there when you first started. I joined. I was one of his proteges,
Nice.
and hopefully
What a great
he's
friend.
still proud of me.
Yeah.
Yes. We've been through the story before, but just in case for our listeners that haven't heard of the story in that episode a couple years ago, I did drunkenly tell Gary I was going to sign up, even though I was quite skinny and I wasn't very a big gym guy. But it was one of the greatest drunken mistakes I've ever made, and that's how I've still stick with the gym.
My
you,
guy.
Gary.
Oh, so you still train now?
Yeah, still train.
My
Wow.
guy.
So Gary was kind of like the guy where, you know, when everyone starts off at the gym, they're always very scared to go because it feels like there are a million eyes on you. And I felt the exact same. I was like, oh, dude, I am like 55 kilos. I'm so skinny, about 170. And I would just struggle to lift anything. But Gary was there, very supportive, and he showed me how to do everything. And I was really worried about not knowing how to do exercises. So that's where there was value in the PT. And yes, Gary did make me feel very comfortable in the gym after that.
And how long did you work with Gary for?
A couple months.
Mm.
Don't remember specifically.
a little bit, like
Yeah.
a fair bit of time.
So 2 months and and it's been 5 years and you still train.
Still train. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So in 2 months time, you got him 5 years down the track.
Yes.
That's a great investment, man.
That's
Feel like
true.
that's a great investment for a personal trainer, man.
yeah.
2 months and then 5 years down the road and still going. It's pretty good.
Well, it's been on and off. I mean, during COVID, there was probably some downtime,
That's normal.
but did get back into it eventually.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, it's been a while. So 4 years. When you first started, you were a personal trainer at Prime Performance.
Mhm.
What's happened? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. What's changed since then? So 2020, COVID, obviously that was a difficult time for most, given that there was a lockdowns, no one had access to the gyms, and we basically couldn't even leave a house. But surprisingly for me, that was actually one of the best periods for my career. Like the height of my career was during COVID.
That seems like the polar opposite because there's no
Yeah.
access to anything.
Yeah. But I think I would definitely attribute some of my success to luck. I would definitely attribute it to that. And I think there was an element of me being in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing. And during that time, because I had known that the gyms were going to shut down, we couldn't go to the gym, I decided then and there I was going to shift a lot of my focus into digital marketing, into social media, building my online base on my online platform. And even before then, I had already begun, but I had started to put more emphasis towards it. Fortunately for me, as the gyms were shutting down, my clients at the time, in-person clients, were very supportive. So they stuck with me even during the COVID time. Some of them went on pause for sure, and that was fine, understandable. But majority of them stuck with me. I had reduced their rates, you know, gave them a discount, but they still stuck with me to transition into kind of virtual Zoom kind of training.
Yeah.
And during that time, I just continued to smash out content and put out a lot of content. And from there, a lot of people ended up buying a lot of home gym equipment for themselves.
Yeah, I remember there was a big gym equipment
Big
pandemic.
phase, big phase.
Everything got marked up in
Yeah,
price.
yeah. The prices
Yeah,
skyrocketed.
and then people were selling squat racks and barbells, but all the manufacturing comes from China. And
Yeah.
the ships were closed.
Yeah,
So all
yeah.
these companies were like, "Oh, new company, we're gonna provide
Yep.
squat racks and barbells." Delay.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
guys, we folded. Nothing's coming
Oh
in for
my
a year.
days, yeah.
And
yeah.
there were people selling squat benches, and it was like milk crates with cardboard on them and like
Oh,
sticks.
a lot of
You know,
ghetto,
$100.
Yeah, yeah.
Squat rack.
a lot of ghetto made up versions of equipment. But yeah, man, I was very lucky to score a big portfolio of online clients from that period. And a lot of people, I guess, saw the value in my content. And because of that, they inquired. And from there, yeah, business really took off during that COVID period.
And we'll get a bit more context from Phil here. So you've been working in the health industry for a couple of years now. You're a physio, or I think you were a physio.
Health physio. I was a physio for a
Yeah.
couple of years, almost 2 years, but I've been coaching for a decade now.
A decade.
Yeah, I've been a
Lot of
PT
experience.
for like almost 10 years.
That was prior to Prime's existence then.
Yeah, I was already 5-6 years in before Prime ever started.
Did you ever join Prime?
No.
Oh.
No. Me and Will. So Prime started. I was there when Will wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Oh,
we,
wow.
we would
Oh,
have
The
coffee.
napkin idea.
Yeah, no, actually,
Yeah.
that's what happened. So me and Will used to have coffee catch-ups every Tuesday. We still do, every morning in Cabra. And we would just talk about business. It was at that time he had just sold off Castle Hill, and he said, "Hey, there's an opportunity here. What do you think about this?" And we brainstormed everything that happened that he was going to do in the beginning. He was at Fairfield train station, that plus
You
fitness.
remember this?
Yeah, no, I remember
yeah.
because he only had 2 people. He was
Oh,
Gary
yeah,
and
yeah,
Gary
yeah.
and Cass.
Yep.
Yeah, at that time, he goes, "Do you think I can make it work?"
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Well, let's do the numbers. Works out. If your guys actually perform, it's going to work." And so he said, "All right, let's do it." 8 months later, he had a full team of like 6-7 PTs. He was at several locations. So
Yeah.
like I was there in the conception of the idea.
What is Prime for context for listeners? If you want to describe that,
Prime.
or Gary maybe?
Yeah, maybe Gary should describe what
Can you?
Prime is.
So Prime is a PT mentoring company where we kind of bridge the gap between education towards sales and business, as well as the technical side of fitness, such as training and nutrition. So the idea originally came because, and this is from my understanding anyway, it might be different from what you know, and maybe you can fill in the gaps from there. But the idea originally, from what my brother has told me, and for those of you who don't know, my brother William is the one who started Prime, not me. He sold his gym, Adonis Castle Hill, because he originally was going to transition into a full-time online coach because his firstborn was due to arrive, or whatever time span that was, leading into him selling the gym. So he wanted to transition into full-time online so he could be a stay-at-home dad. But instead of going down that route, he ended up starting Prime. And Prime, like I said earlier, is a PT mentoring company. And the reason he started it was because there was a gap in the industry where the barrier to entry for PTs is extremely low. You basically pay to get qualified. And that is why so many of us fail and go back to whatever job we were doing prior.
Don't you have the percentage for that?
Yeah. So back in 2018, when I was studying my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, my tutor or teacher at the time told the whole class, only 10% of you guys are going to make it.
Damn.
He said that to the whole class.
How
Yeah.
many people were in there?
I can't remember for sure, probably like 20 to 30 people. But he gave us a stat as well,
Yeah.
the statistic, and it was that 90% of PTs within 6 months will end up turning over and leaving the industry. And my brother acknowledged that. And because of that, he created Prime so that Prime can bridge the gap between business and fitness, because within the qualifications, the courses, whether it's uni, TAFE, or private institute, they don't teach you the business side of things. They don't teach you sales, communication, negotiation, building out your business, how to gain prospects, how to generate leads, how to sit them down and convert them from, selling to them. So that's what Prime is all about.
Yeah. I think that really is a big misconception for a lot of people, because they just sign up for a course, even just like uni as well. You do the degree.
Fucking scam, by the way.
I'm in so much of that, man.
Same.
But you finish your degree and then you go into the workforce and you're like, well, it's not just a piece of paper and what I know from what they taught me. There's so many other things, like you need to learn how to network, how to communicate with people at work. And same thing with being a PT, from what it sounds like here, where it's not just about knowing how to, the right form of a bench. It's not just the what you just eat. There's just so many other things with, how you communicate with your client or whatever. Man, there's so much more to it than just the one degree that you're doing. What is it, like a grand or two at some?
If it's fast, it's like 4K.
4 grand.
Yeah,
It's fast. Is it 7.5 now?
Yeah, back in 2018, I think I paid about 4.5 to get qualified, but it was very quick. It took like 14 weeks.
Yeah.
Was it useful, you reckon?
In some senses, yeah. Well, what do you?
Yeah, you got the legal paper.
Yeah. To get insured, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, like Cert 3 or 4 or something?
Cert 3 and 4 of fitness.
And you've done that as well, Phil?
Yeah.
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 Did you find value in it?
No. for me, no, not really.
Okay.
Because everything that they were trying to teach me, I was already ahead.
Yeah, you kind of either already know it, or yeah.
Like the thing is, so if you go into personal training to learn about training, you're gonna drop out.
Yep.
Because the people who do succeed are already training, are already learning, YouTubing things. They already have a background, and then they pursue personal training because it's a genuine thing that they like. Whereas some people see it as, oh, maybe I'll be a good personal trainer. Maybe that's going to be a career path.
Yeah.
But they don't actually do any training themselves. So that's the first time learning.
Yeah.
And then they pay for the qualification. So
Yeah.
those guys generally drop out. They don't actually like it.
Yeah.
They don't see how difficult it is, and they don't understand the behind the scenes work that goes into it in building out the business model and your offering. But also from there, even just the first step of finding a client, right? And I tell this to the mentees that I've mentored in the past, over the past 6 years, it starts with being able to speak to a stranger. And how many of us, honestly, right, can just go out there, put yourself out there and be like, hey, my name's Gary, or hey, my name's Tung, and I'm the personal trainer from da-da-da-da, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And then even if you can get through that first sentence, it's like, where do you go from there? Like, hey, bro, are you interested in personal training? I will charge
Give me your money.
Yeah.
Please.
I will charge you $80 a session that you keen. Woo. No one fucking cares.
Yeah.
No one fucking cares.
Yeah, because you don't hear a lot. Well, at least at my gym, I never really hear much presence from the board of. Here are our personal trainers on the board,
Yeah.
and here are their contact details. But I don't know. I never see them around personally. Or
Well, that's
if they're
one of the
doing anything.
biggest reasons why they drop out, because a lot of the young PTs, they don't want to be in the gym for the first, say, 4 hours of the day when it's busy, going around saying hello to people.
Yep.
Because they feel like, oh, I should be paid for this.
Yep.
When that's not how any sole trader business or any company, if you're running it kind of with you as the leader, that's not how it works.
Any entrepreneurial journey, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have to make your own bread, you need to go and get that bread. Like, you can't just sit there and think that people are going to come to you.
You got to
Maybe
hunt for your food.
Yeah. Later on, like Gary's career, maybe 5 years later, when he's got the referral patterns and he's got a presence, there's going to be people seeking him out. But even for him, if he doesn't continue what he's doing as his baseline now, that will dry up.
Gone.
That will eventually dry up. So if you're in anything that's entrepreneurial, whatever you're doing in the beginning is going to be there to the end. You just might outsource it, maybe, or hire somebody, but it has to always be there.
Yeah.
It looks a lot maybe easier on the outside, where you're just like, oh, I could show someone how to use this equipment.
And you know what the fucking shit thing is? The shit thing is that the fitness industry, especially the education side of it, sells you a dream. They sell you that 6-figure dream where you can, live in Malibu, sipping Mai Tais by the beach,
Yeah.
and living that laptop lifestyle. Going, oh,
Did you not know, man?
Yeah, exactly.
That was actually
it's
me.
that fucking easy.
I actually did that.
You made it. You could do it. but
Unironically.
like, just 90% of PTs fucking don't, right?
Yeah.
But they get sold that dream. And this is where Prime came in, right? And I would refer it to as me selling them the nightmare. I sell them the nightmare. Anytime when trainers would inquire to want to join Prime or want to sign up with Prime,
Yeah.
I don't sell them the dream. I sell them the nightmare. And I go, look, this is what it's going to take. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
There's probably a good chunk of time where you're going to have to eat shit for free or for a very low income, as I did. And that's how it's going to be for a good while. Like in my first year, right, in Australia, for those of you who do live in Australia, my first year, I made under 18K.
Far out, man. That's like tax-free.
Yes, so
at
I
that
had
point.
tax-free income because I
really
didn't
low.
even make it over the tax threshold as a personal trainer.
He'd been doing the cashies, bro. That's
We're all Asian.
Cash on, yeah. Okay.
ATO, don't chase me.
We got him now.
But yeah, man.
We got him.
Yeah,
That was
like
lazy. It was lazy, man. That's all it was.
yeah, it was tough. It was tough, and that's what I mean. Like the fitness industry, the education side, these institutes that credit you with your Cert 3 and 4, they sell you that dream. They're like, oh, you know, it's very quick. You can get qualified. You can start work. Da 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 da. But 90% drop out. 90% go back to their factory job. Go back to banking. Go back to their corporate role. Whatever it was that they hated because they don't know how to make it work.
I mean, I'll also add that sometimes it is better they went back.
That's true.
Why? The reason I said
Less
it is because
competition?
it's because the job doesn't suit them.
Yeah, just
Like in
Straight out.
just the business side, the hustle alone. Some people are so anxious about where the next paycheck's gonna come that they probably don't suit that lifestyle. And when it comes to freedom, like what Gary talked about, people selling the dream, I lived that for a while. Even then, I don't know if one payment's going to bounce. I don't know who's going to drop out next week.
Yeah.
Or any new clients are going to come. So you're in this perpetual state of, I don't know. Like you're always constantly in this state of, I don't know.
Yeah.
You might have a 12-week contract.
Yeah.
You know it's going to maybe fulfill
Yeah.
and then they might resign, but you know that something's coming to an end. So if you're somebody who just enjoys 9 to 5, you don't have to think about anything when you go home or on the weekend, that might be a better life for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think I would like it too, but then I think about working for someone and I think, no, I don't want to.
It comes back to stability. If stability is what you're after, PT isn't for you.
Yeah, I'm on the 9 to 5 side. So, well, I'm not destined to be a PT, but just having that structured schedule, I think I find for myself personally, I prefer.
And that's fine.
And look, it's not for everyone.
And you know what? It's great that you know that is what you want.
And you're aware of.
You know, a lot of people don't. They think that having the freedom to do whatever and have your own hours.
Learn boss.
They think it's freedom, but actually that's not freedom.
It's more hours.
It's more hours. But you just work for yourself. Nobody's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
You can't sit there for an hour and think, you know what? I'm just gonna bludge. Boss is at lunch. He's not gonna care and still get paid for it. Sorry, you don't get paid if you don't put in the hours.
That's
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah.
No, not really. Completely different mindset, and like even just seeing tradies, you see how hard they work just to find a client base, and it's all the same thing. Like some of my mates are tradies as well, and they ask me like, "Oh, how do you even set up a website? What's SEO? Like, how do you use social media to find clients?" And it's like the same thing with a podcast right here. Like I thought I would just sit here, talk to a mic, and upload it. And then it turns out I have to learn how social media works and how to make reels.
And editing and all that.
It's completely different.
What do you do for your 9 to 5?
Data analyst.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that if I could have my time again and I didn't hate code or anything, I never tried it, but that's what I would have wanted to learn. Data science, computer
just
science.
Excel. Just Excel.
Yeah, maybe not. But like, or coding, I don't know, whatever it is, but something in the tech space, I think I would have enjoyed that if I had my time again.
Would have been rich too.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. You know?
Silicon Valley where.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, it's been 4 years since we last spoke. In terms of PTing, has anything changed in how you maybe structure out a session or talk to or find a client base? How would you describe yourself back then to now?
A lot's changed since then. Firstly, I don't PT anymore, so I don't do face-to-face. I didn't fall into the statistic. It's okay, I'm still coaching.
You're the 10%. Yeah, made it.
But so I've transitioned full-time online, but I stopped PTing for several different reasons. One was so that I can have a bit more freedom of time. But two, I don't feel good charging what I used to charge. Especially in today's economy in Sydney, Australia, it's quite rough for everybody. And just to give a bit of context, back when I was PTing at the height of it, at the peak of it, I would charge anywhere between 120 to 150 per session.
Wait, that's gone up. I remember that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember last year was about, if you got the lowest, which was once a week, it was like 65. And then the top tier was like 50 for like 3 sessions.
Yeah. So
Damn, it's jumped up.
it differs as well, obviously, depending on the length of the session. But
Yeah.
it would be anywhere between 120 to 150 an hour. Otherwise, like 80 to 100 for half an hour.
Now, is that considered the top end of PTs?
Oh, I've heard of
What they
people
charge?
charging more.
High mid range.
Yeah, high mid, I'd say. I've heard of people charging upwards of 300 per session. And there are people who pay it. Yeah.
What makes them more valuable though?
Perception.
Perception, their network, their demographic,
Yeah.
their location of the gym. And yeah, like there's a gym called, I think it was Fitness Playground in CBD, where it's just purely executives.
It's got the bunker or something.
or is it?
It's not. There is one. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Is it not the one I named?
Not Fitness Playground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I got
There's
it wrong.
another one. Yeah, I know.
My bad. I
the
don't
one
want to plug the wrong one. But yeah, there is like a gym in the city where it all the members are purely just execs or CEOs of sorts.
What is
And
this?
when
Yeah, that's
they find their PTs through LinkedIn, and those PTs are probably charging an arm and a leg, and those execs will pay it. They don't care. They're making bank.
So this is like the Amex Centurion of gyms.
I suppose so. Yeah.
It's like some
Yeah.
exclusive place.
Yeah.
because you have to actually. I heard that their strategy of acquisition was they actually went on LinkedIn and they messaged C-suite people and executives and was like, "Hey, we have this gym here. It's only for people of this level.
Only.
You want to come?" Yeah,
Exclusivity.
But how much do they charge to go there a week?
I don't know.
If you were to
Who knows?
Something
Rock up.
very high. Something probably very, very high.
pennies to
It's
them,
that
yeah.
privacy, that exclusivity, and
It's a club.
yeah.
Like imagine going to the gym and the next person you're gonna do a 10 million business deal with is doing rows next to you.
yeah.
You know, like
Oh,
that.
right.
That's
So
the value.
Yeah,
value in
it's
itself.
for them. It's like a networking event in some ways.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah, and
Mm.
you just get pampered with stupid shit. Like you walk in, there's probably some guy spraying aromas at you. You finish going to the bathroom, probably get towels, hand towels, warm
Oh,
towels.
this
Yeah.
is like going to a boutique store, right?
Yeah.
Like full
Yeah.
on, just 5-star treatment.
I've heard of
Is this on YouTube?
it's on website somewhere. You can find it.
All right.
what's that
This
what's
one's
that
on
gym?
Google.
Virgin Active.
Yeah.
Yeah, Virgin Active. That's a
The airline? affiliated?
very kind of bougie. Would you say it's commercial? Yeah,
It's commercial.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
commercial
still
gym, yeah.
affordable for middle class people.
Yeah.
Virgin's like 50 something
A
a
week.
week.
Yeah.
Which is
A
not
week.
Yeah, you'd be surprised when you go there and you start to experience it. You're like, all right,
You can see the value.
I get it.
Okay.
Like,
You
I
see
get
the
it.
like they have pools, saunas,
Yoga
some
rooms.
rock climbing walls, and the gym.
It's like everything in one.
Yeah, but also I've heard of this story before where you can go into a Virgin Active, right, if you remember, and you might go do some yoga class with them, right? And as soon as you come out, they greet you with a hot towel and slippers that are your size, and they just know. That's the level of customer service
yeah,
that
and
they're
first
providing.
class.
And they also have a
Airline.
smoothie ready.
Damn.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the level of customer service that they're providing, man,
Yeah.
at these $50 a week gyms.
Mm.
And I would still say, I would argue that $50 a week is still not cheap, but for the level of customer service you're getting relative to the amenities that are provided, it's pretty fucking worth it.
It's kind of like business class.
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
level,
Business class,
Or like
yeah,
premium
gyms.
premium economy.
Yeah, premium. You get the
Yeah.
extra leg room.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Extra
Mhm.
little touch. Let's dive a bit with Phil here. So Phil was actually the under 56 kilo representative for the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Yeah. Oh, it was, what was that? 6 years ago.
6 years ago now.
Yeah. So, how did you decide? Like, I want to compete for something at this caliber, this level? Because a lot of people do, like, they start off with let's do a local competition. I don't know what the right terminology is. Maybe Gary, you did some powerlifting a while ago.
Yeah.
Where,
Different sports. Different sports.
Sorry. Different- yeah. But you compete on a more smaller level, and this is obviously like top of the range on where you're competing. And when did you decide that I want to reach this level?
Yeah, my 4th year of training, I was 20, late 22,
Yeah.
early 23. That's when I knew that I had a chance to be the best in the country. That's when I realized if I just put in the time, I don't see much downside to And even if I don't make it, there's not much downside. So roughly 2 years out from Commonwealth Games, that's when I decided, go all in. Don't worry about it, just go all in.
What's involved with all in?
Well, you organize your entire life around that one thing. At the time I was at uni, when I graduated, I told myself, when I look for a job, it's got to suit around my training schedule.
Ref.
And my training schedule is got to be the maximum I can do from all the evidence that I have in order to maximize my chances, which worked out to be anything from 8 to 12 times a week of training, sometimes twice a day for like 3 days straight, sometimes.
I thought like 5 was pretty high, 5-6 times a week. But
No, that
8
would
to
be a
12.
deload for me back at that time. Yeah, I would train 8 to 12 times a week if I wanted. Because if you're going to do something like this, you better put in everything. You only get one shot and you're going to spend all this time, so you fucking do it well. So I planned out all my schedule of training. I found a job that slotted in everything, and I planned out when I'm going to go to bed, what I'm going to eat, how much I'm going to eat, all my macros, every single thing. I planned my whole year 18 months in advance, my whole life.
Fuck, I'm tired.
really
Listen to
that
it.
much planning?
Yep.
18 months ahead.
Yeah, and I stuck to it to a T. And to this day, I think out of all the sessions I did, I missed one session.
Wow.
I only missed one training session.
Damn.
Even
That's
if I only
impressive.
slept 3 hours and I was like, fuck, like I don't want to go. Fuck it, you still go. 2 shots of coffee, you go. Because that's what you decided to do. So go and do it.
What job did you find that scheduled, well, at least fit the schedule that you had?
I was a physiotherapist.
Oh, so you had like, I'm assuming you capped to the amount of
33
clients.
I had 33 hours a week of physiotherapy
Mm.
And
and
you were
then-
at uni?
after I graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
jeez.
before when I was at uni, it was, my life was uni, girlfriend, and training. That was it. So I had
Yeah.
uni, girlfriend, training, and coaching. So I would coach for about 20 hours a week, uni, 20, 25 hours a week,
Yeah.
girlfriend, and then training 12 to 15 hours a week minimum.
You even have time for assignments at that point?
I did, but I was on a lot of study drugs back then. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I would start my day off with 2 shots of espresso.
Yeah.
Not really a study drug per se. And then I get to class, start fading, chew nicotine gum.
Nicotine gum?
Yeah, because it's a stimulant
Yeah.
for your brain.
Okay.
Yeah, so I chew gum, I park it, double dose gum, chew, wake up for 3 hours, do my content or study or whatever.
Yeah.
Finish that. I'd get modafinil, which is yeah,
I've heard of that.
it's
like
it's like a
ADHD
study
med or
drug.
something?
Adderall, Ritalin type thing.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
got modafinil, and I would have like a quarter of that or half, and that would last me until say 4 or 5 p.m. And then I would go train, finish at 7, 8 o'clock, go home, eat, straight to bed, repeat.
I'm surprised you could sleep on all those stimulants,
Yeah, I
dude.
know, right?
Dude, I was so tired. You don't understand. I think I was so tired. I just forgot how being tired felt. I was just so tired all the time. I didn't realize my baseline was just tired.
At
So
that point, that's cool.
I was cool.
It's like being so hungry, you just like, you just give
Yeah,
up
no,
being
that's
hungry.
exactly what it was. I
Same
trained
feeling.
so much, I didn't realize. Like, I became desensitized to what fatigue really was.
How many injuries did you run into
At
throughout
that,
that period?
that period?
Were you prone?
I'm actually prone to injury. I would say 3 or 4. You just keep training.
Just train through it.
Yeah.
What?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna? Because you can't miss.
That's
your,
not advice for the general public.
Yeah, not advice for the general
Yeah,
public. Yeah.
elite level
Yeah.
of training here.
Because you don't want to miss a session. If there's a competition and it's the qualifying period, you have to go. Or you don't go, you don't qualify for the trial process.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're hurt. If you want to go, you have to hit these qualifiers, and so you just go.
Yeah, I'm assuming you had a coach at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the process to get selected and get qualified?
You had to be the number 1 in the country and hit certain criteria in order to be selected.
Yeah. So is that like, what's the criteria? Is it like a certain weight that you need to hit,
At that
or-
point, because we were the home country, as long as you were the number 1 in your weight class for the country,
Yeah.
since we're the home side, you get sent to the Commonwealth Games.
I'm guessing there was a specific date where everyone just, just collided into
Yes.
one area.
Yeah,
and yours.
Trials.
The
kind of
trials,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Commonwealth Games trials, yeah.
Yeah.
It was November 18, I think.
And how many people were in your weight class?
So I used to be 62,
Yeah.
and the guy over there was too good, so I cut down, and it was me and this other guy, just 2
Oh,
of
there's
us.
2 people.
Yeah, 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not to, put it down that it was easy.
No, but that's a real thing. Like, our pool of talent isn't that big. So in the 56, it was just going to be him. And the 62 was me and a few other guys.
Yeah.
And I was basically second at that point in the 62. But the first level guy was just too far ahead. So I cut down 8 kilos and I went down to 56.
Oh wow.
Oh, didn't you once tell me a grueling weight cut story? Was
I've
this
had
the
a few
one?
of those. Yeah, yeah, probably.
What was that like? Remind us, or me.
So the grueling part was probably the sauna, because I lost 8 kilos in 8 weeks in order to qualify for the trials, basically to beat that guy.
It's a lot of weight for
Yeah, for
like
us.
percentage wise.
Yeah, like from body fat percentage wise, I was already at maybe 12-13%
Yeah.
before my cut. Like I didn't have that much to lose. So when I got down to 58-ish or 59, my body was just basically bone, muscle, and fat. No fat. There was nothing. There was nothing on me. And the night before, because I didn't want to lose any more weight, I sat in a sauna for about 2.5 hours, just so I kept sweating and sweating and sweating to the point where you don't have any more water. Yeah. So I lost 2.5 kilos ish of just water weight in a sauna. So I just sat in a sauna with a cup and I was spitting in a cup, losing weight, sweating. And afterwards, when I got down to my goal weight, I had to drive home, try to sleep because the trials were the next day.
Or you wouldn't be able to.
Shit.
And I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
Slept for like 30-40 minutes. Get up, all dizzy and shit. Get to the weigh-in. You weigh in 55.95. Sick.
Wow, barely made it.
Yeah, and then you start
Hydrating.
rehydrating and you compete 2 hours later.
How did you not pass out in the sauna? Like, isn't there a time limit? There's like, they usually tell you like 30 minutes and then you have to leave.
I had a friend with me. He sat through a lot of it, but he had water.
Yeah.
But I just said, look, if I pass out, you just drag me out. That's what I told him.
Okay, well, you had someone to help.
Yeah. I was close to it, but I think for me, something about me at that stage, my mind was just so set on this thing that no matter what you did to me, I was going to get there. That was it. I didn't care.
Really tunnel vision into that.
Yeah.
One
yeah.
goal
Yep.
in mind.
Can just feel the dehydration from that story.
Yeah. yeah. My pee was like brown.
What? That's not healthy, man.
I new level. I thought I had back pain because I was dehydrated, and I thought, oh man, why am I getting back pain? It wasn't back pain. It was because my kidneys were so dry.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I was like,
Crazy.
oh, shit, this is bad. And then I mean, whether I have any long lasting effects from that, probably. But was it worth it? I think so.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story to talk about.
Yeah, it's pretty. I
competing in
mean,
the
at the time
Olympics.
it wasn't that cool, but when I look back at it, I'm glad I did it
What do you mean it wasn't cool back then?
because you're just suffering the whole time.
Oh,
Like
right.
just
right.
insufferable.
Going through it
Every
all.
morning you wake up, you can't eat that much. At lunchtime, all you have is like a little bit of chicken, some vegetables. Then you go train while you're tired. Finish training, everything's hurting. Go home, eat little portion again. Go to bed. You're hungry. You wake up
Yeah.
3-4 times a night because your body is craving food,
Yeah.
and your mind changes, your palate changes. You start craving things that you never craved before.
So you're like a pregnant lady.
Yeah, yeah.
What were you craving?
Peanut butter.
Isn't that something that's usually quite good to eat when you're training? Or at least for me, for weight gain.
For weight gain, yeah. Oh, well, in general, I think it's not a bad thing to eat if you're training.
Yeah.
But for some reason, all I wanted to do when I was starving so much was peanut butter and oats and mix. That's all I wanted to do. Like that was the thing I look forward to the most after my cut. Just give me oats with peanut butter mixed in.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you why.
Did you ever have cheat days? Because
No.
18 months of just...
Oh no, that was the last
Chicken-
8 weeks of my journey.
Okay.
The training was for 18 months.
Yeah.
But the weight cut was for 8 weeks before I made the games. And then after I made the games, I did it again. But this time I only cut down from about 62, 63.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary's done a bit of something similar, but not exactly the same.
Not similar at all.
Not to that
Oh.
level, but you've competed on a smaller scale, haven't you?
Yeah, and for those that know the difference between weightlifting, for those that don't know the difference between weightlifting and powerlifting, and I've competed in powerlifting, but I've dabbled in weightlifting.
You were decent at weightlifting for somebody who didn't really
Thank you.
do it that much. Yeah,
Just to give a bit of context, right? During my powerlifting days, I would compete in the sub 59 kilo weight category. And my best would be like a 180 deadlift, 170 squat, 102 bench. I tried weightlifting once. I could barely throw 30 kilos over my head. That's how difficult and technical weightlifting is. I wouldn't want to put the two on the same pedestal. And I don't think powerlifting's in the Olympics, is it?
No.
Yeah. So
No, not for the able-bodied. Sorry if that's the wrong language. But if you're a paraplegic or something, powerlifting is bench press at the Paralympics.
Yes. And that's fair enough. But yeah, that kind of gives you like an understanding, right? Like, weightlifting is in the Olympics, powerlifting is not.
Yeah, and right now,
And probably some people are going to get offended at that. It's so big.
come on, man. Powerlifting is so boring, man. Come on, man. But
I've done it and I agree.
Weightlifting is actually maybe cut out from the Olympics very soon because they've just had too many issues with steroids. Yeah.
What's the difference in terms of lift? Just real quick. So powerlifting.
So powerlifting is just squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yeah, and weightlifting is the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Oh, it's when like they throw it over the head, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How does it work? Is it the total amount you're lifting? I know that's powerlifting, right?
Same. It's the same.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. PTs. How much should they invest in these skills? I think you brought it up on your Instagram posts sometimes. So there's sales, communication, and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything I'm missing?
Probably, but we can't really
I mean, they're
figure
the
on it.
big ones, right? I feel like those three kind of encompass your coaching ability as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry, what was the question? How much?
Active listening.
Active listening. Yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry.
So how much do they invest in these three skills?
As much as you can until you're able to use those skills effectively, and assuming you do learn from the right people and acquire the skill, and then you're able to translate it back into your business, the ROI will come back tenfold anyway.
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
Forever.
Because that's a skill for you to keep.
Yeah. I think that's really important to emphasize. You learn these skills. It's not just you put it in once, you pay once, maybe you pay $1,000 to learn something, and then it dries up after 3 years. It's like forever.
Yeah.
So once you have it, as long as you keep practicing, you're always going to have it. And after you have it, if you do want to lead a team one day, you teach that same skill to those people. It's like teach a man how to fish, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
And it's transferable as well. Like sales and communication specifically, you could come from a PT background and know how to sell and communicate, and you could take those skills to a real estate agent, to a car dealership, to anything that involves selling and communicating, which oftentimes is almost everything.
Yeah.
You take it to your relationship too, man.
Yeah.
If you get good at communication, if your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your mom, whatever it is, you can actually influence a lot of how the conversation goes just because you know how to say certain things or bring up certain things.
That's probably like why coaches like Vin Jane, for example, he's a really big communication coach. They do really well
Yep.
in creating that short form content to really drive those points home on how to communicate effectively.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go back to Phil. So after your big Olympic journey,
Commonwealth. I never made the Olympics.
Did you ever want to get back into it after that, or did you feel like that was...
I thought I did. I thought I wanted to keep competing, maybe have another run at the next Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
But that was maybe me just staying attached to this identity that I had, because, at that time I was known as a weightlifting guy, also a physio. There was so much identity wrapped around that sport. I was well known within the crew at that time of those group of people. And it's just so reinforcing for your ego and what you think you are. So I kept trying to train hard again for it. But after about 6, 12, 18 months, I realized that I was only doing it because I felt like there was something to prove to an imaginary person. I don't know who it was. I already proved to myself that I could do it. So then I just thought, you know what? I think that's it. And I went to run instead.
You started a run club?
No, I just ran a marathon instead.
Oh, okay. That was the next goal you shifted to.
Yeah, it was during COVID. I was training a bit, and then my housemate at the time said he was running an ultra.
That's really familiar. How long is that?
100Ks.
100K.
Yeah, he was preparing for an ultra, and he said to me, look, like, maybe you should try some running. It's COVID. what better things do we have to
What else
do,
you
right?
doing?
What are you gonna do? And I said, and he ego challenged me. He goes, oh yeah, maybe you can't do it. Fuck you, I'm gonna do it. So it was honestly a 2-minute conversation. And he said, look, Phil, just go for a 2K run with me. And then when you come back, make your choice. I said, I can do it. 6 months later, I did a marathon. But it was that quick. I just went, you know what? Fuck it, I'll do it. And I started training and that was it.
So you seem like someone who's very susceptible to the you wouldn't do it. When someone says it to you.
Depends by who.
Yeah.
But nowadays, not really. Back then, I think it was also, I was already looking for something
Yeah.
outside of weightlifting. And when the opportunity came up, we just thought, well, why not?
Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into weightlifting?
Depends on what you want to do. You know, if you want to just learn, go for gold. It's fun. It honestly, if I wasn't for weightlifting, I probably wouldn't have done much strength training for that long. But if you want to get elite, high level,
Yeah.
there's a few things you got to know. Number one, do you have the body for it? If you don't have the body for it, chances are it's very slim. You have to be a certain lever length, like your legs have to be short, your arms have to be a certain length. You have to be naturally born strong as well.
All right.
And if you have all these things, then your pathway to the top is going to be smooth, relatively easy. But if you're somebody who is 6'1", really long legs, short arms, you can't do a deep squat without bending over, the likelihood of you being good at this sport is very, very low. So if you do it for fun, that's great. But if you think you're going to make national level, Commonwealth level, Olympic level, I'm sorry to tell you, your body's working against you. You probably have a better chance doing something different, another sport.
I've never thought of that. Where it's like you got to
Yeah.
think about your leg length. and
Yeah.
arm length.
It's
More distance.
Yeah, more distance, and also as if you're in the game of health, you know that the longer your legs, the more you tip over when you squat naturally. It just has to happen.
Right.
So weightlifting is all about how vertical you can stay
Yeah.
in your bottom position. So if you can't stay vertical, you're fighting against the weight a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's similar to like basketball players have to be really tall.
Yeah.
There's the same concept here.
But also basketball players, they would have certain measurements that are important. Like you could be really tall, but if your arms are short, that's not as maybe as advantageous as a guy who is a little bit shorter than you but has a much longer arm,
yeah.
like a wingspan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like what are the size of your hands as well?
Oh.
After COVID, you went overseas for a little bit. 2023.
2022
Around there, right?
was when I went overseas the first time.
Is this when you lived the laptop lifestyle?
Yes, I lived the laptop lifestyle. Yeah.
Why did you decide to drop everything and
Why?
become the digital nomad?
Simple answer, because I could. That's it. The same thing as when I decided to try for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Thought, if I could, why wouldn't I do it? And so at the time, COVID had just finished. I had transitioned a lot of my clients to online.
Okay.
And I saw the
yeah.
opportunity like, oh, like maybe I could do this whole travel thing for an extended period of time. And I just thought to myself, well, if I stay here, what am I doing? Work more, save money. What's next? Buy a house, maybe, settle down, maybe, invest, maybe. But instead, why not just go travel indefinitely and find out whatever there is for me there and see what happens?
I think at the time you mentioned on your blog that you went through a breakup recently. Is that right? Like a few months back before you left.
No. Okay.
Was this?
No. So 2022 was when I went overseas, did my thing,
Yeah.
met a girl, got really involved mentally, and then came back home to take care of some business back at home.
Yeah.
Went back there, got my heart broken, and then in January the next year, that's when
Yeah.
I left for another 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when you started the blog, where you did mention you booked a one-way flight to Malaysia.
Yes.
In
2020,
January
2023. Yes.
So what happened, man? You said you only left with 6.5 kilos of luggage and you were gone for what?
10 months.
10 months.
10 months, yeah.
I can't imagine
I
that.
came home with 6.5 too. Didn't have anything, yeah.
Anyone that goes overseas, you're always coming back with or you're leaving at least with some amount of clothes.
Mm.
You got check-in luggage.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage with just carry on?
So my
What
question is,
happened?
how do people manage with a lot? I personally can't understand how people have so much things to bring, because
Guilty.
what do you? The thing is, like most of the time, if you have clothes, you can just buy it over there. If you need emergency,
Depends where you're
clothes.
going. If you're going to a colder climate, obviously it's a lot easier. Well, it's a lot harder to pack lighter because you have to bring more jackets.
Exactly.
Whatever.
So that's why all the places I went to were actually
Tropical.
tropical.
Yeah.
And I knew that. So that's why I didn't feel like I really needed anything. And when I went, I've always been a light traveler. I don't like to bring a lot of things. I don't have a very astute fashion sense either. I don't need to look good. So I just went, well, I got my underwear, got my socks, got my t-shirts, my laptop, everything I need to make money.
Shorts.
Shorts. Yeah, shorts.
The essentials.
The essentials.
Yeah,
and that's it. What else do I need?
I don't know. Like, did you have any plan in place? You
No.
It's just Southeast Asia. So you picked Malaysia. Why Malaysia? Let's go with there.
I was in a co-workspace in Watso, and I was already thinking of, where should I go? I want to go somewhere, but where should I go? And initially, I was thinking Sri Lanka. Start of Sri Lanka, go to Colombo. But then as I was doing some things in the kitchen, I noticed that there was a lolly jar on the table, and there was a sweet there, and it was for everyone.
Yeah.
So I ate the sweet. Oh, this is really good. And I found out who brought it in. It was one of my colleagues, co-working space people.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, where's that from? He goes, oh, my Malaysian colleague gave it to me. I'm going to Malaysia.
That's so spontaneous, man.
That's it.
That's insane.
That's it. Yeah. But here's the thing. Am I really being spontaneous, or am I just being the same as everyone else, except I'm not thinking about it as much? You know, everyone likes to plan, like, we're going to go here and do this and plan here and do. But somewhere along the way, that got planted into your head, but maybe it just took 18 months before you took action. I just took action in 6 minutes. That's it. That's the only difference, in my opinion. In my
thought
opinion,
about it that way.
you know,
Yeah.
like I took 6 minutes and I went for 10 months. Some people take 10 years and they go for a week.
Yeah.
So the trade-off
So
for
you
me,
flipped it.
I flipped it. And I said, what am I going to gain by just thinking about it for so long?
That's true.
And no matter what, if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. I can't predict the future. And did it go wrong? Of course it did. Plenty of things went wrong. But at the same time, whether I went 10 months later, 2 years later, whatever was going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong anyway.
Didn't you fucking get scammed?
Got scammed, yeah.
Tell us what happened here.
So that was like 8 months later after my trip. Yeah.
What
so
happened
we'll go there eventually. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, in the start of your blog, you met a Canadian person
Yes.
and you helped them
Yes.
contact their family. Can you tell us about this story?
Yeah. So I got there at 5 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't check in until usually it's like 1 p.m.
Okay, so you just booked the first ticket. You just Googled flight to Malaysia and you just took the first one there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I had 5 days of accommodation.
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay, and then you got there 5 a.m.
I got there 5 a.m., got inside, and I was really tired, man, because I had a late flight. But it wasn't too bad. I got there, I leave my stuff there, and I just wanted to chill out for a bit, you know, have a few cigarettes, just chill. And as I'm sitting downstairs, it's a common room. It's just me and the attendant. This Canadian dude walks in, and he looks like shit. He just red eyes, bad energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like I'm too tired for this shit, bro. I just kind of want to watch my movie and leave it alone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he comes over to me and he goes, hey man. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I need some help. Can I borrow your phone? And it's like 5 a.m. in the morning.
That's so sketchy.
Yeah, I was like, fuck. I was like, what happened, man? He goes, oh, look, I got drunk, fell asleep on a bus stop, woke up, came home, lost my wallet and my phone.
Yeah, it's the worst thing.
Malaysia, day one. I haven't even gone to bed yet. Day one. So I looked at him and I looked at the attendant, and the attendant seemed to know the guy. So I thought to myself, you know what? If I was in his position, would I want me to help me?
Yeah.
Answers yes. So I thought, you know what? All right, bro, take my phone. So he takes my phone, goes on Facebook and Instagram, and he starts messaging his girlfriend on my phone, right?
On your account.
On my account, yeah.
Oh,
It's like, yeah. He's like, babe, it's Miss Me. Please give me a call back. Bad things have happened. Yeah. So he takes my phone, and so we're charging. I'm just kind of having a chat with him, and he was so distraught. Anyway, 20 minutes pass, no reply, because in Canada at that time it was some weird hour.
Yeah.
So he goes, man, I'm gonna go for a look just along the street. Could you let me know if my girlfriend contacts me? And I said, like, dude, how? Like, you don't have a phone. How am I gonna contact you? So I thought, you know what? I'm not doing anything anyway. I'll go with you. So I started walking with him, and it's now 7 a.m. So it's lights coming out.
Yep.
My first time in Kuala Lumpur, I don't know anything. So he's just walking around. He's trying to look for his phone. We're talking to some bar people, and they all say, look, haven't found it. So he starts saying, man, it's my first day here.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so it's my first day here. My phone was at 1.6K. Man, I was supposed to go to all over Asia. I'm so sad. I think I'm going to go home. And I put my coach hat on and I said, look, man, I know it sucks, but if you buy a ticket home now, that's going to cost you 1.6. If you buy a new phone now, it's going to cost you 1.6. So you either buy the phone and you continue your trip and you let it go, or you buy the ticket home, you go home anyway, and you buy another phone for 1.6. That's 3.2, right? But I'm doing the mathematics for him.
And he's got to come back later.
And then you waste your ticket on the way home.
Yeah.
So like the win, like pragmatically, your win is to actually buy a phone now.
Yeah.
Like,
Just buy a cheaper phone. Why do you need a 1.6K phone?
Yeah, like buy a cheaper phone.
Yeah.
Like, just dude,
Just to get you going.
get you going,
Yeah.
and go enjoy the rest of your trip. In 10 years' time, in a year's time, you look back right now and you think that was funny.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. So I was trying to coach him through it, but eventually he couldn't hack it, and he just bought a ticket home and he left a couple of days after. Yeah, yeah.
Even after that speech, just to rile him
That
up.
breakdown, like that's a solid logical breakdown.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know, people when emotion, like you know, when they're emotional
It's
about
rough.
something, it's just so painful that they can't think logically.
I think also the idea of just being at home brings you comfort as well, especially when you're just, like you said, distraught and you're just stressed
Just
out,
lost everything.
frustrated.
Yeah.
All your cards.
Yeah, so he comes home, he comes back with me to the hotel room, and then his girlfriend starts messaging, and he calls his girlfriend. They start talking, and he's fine, right? He's fine. He messaged me after he got home, and he really thanked me, and he's fine. But that was basically my first 6 hours in Kuala Lumpur.
That's
after
a
I
lot
left.
you had to take in.
Yeah,
Do you still
yeah.
keep in contact with the guy?
No, but he still follows me on Instagram.
Okay,
and
still
sometimes we
around.
exchange messages here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a first day, man.
Yeah, actually, the first day was even more intense because after that, right, it was 1 p.m., like 11 a.m., done with that, done with him, go back into my room.
You haven't even slept yet.
I haven't slept yet. I'm so tired. I haven't slept for 36 hours. I'm so tired. I get into my room and like I mentioned, I had gone through a breakup and I thought I'd processed it, but it's easy to process something when you're healthy. Like you're at home, everything, you're sleeping well, your training is fine. But I was so tired. I wasn't in the best mood. I lie in my bed and then I just had a full blown like panic attack. I was just lying there and felt like the walls were closing in. My heart was beating. My thoughts were going crazy. I felt like my whole body was on fire. And I was by myself in this room in Kuala Lumpur and nobody was around me. Just me, my thoughts, and a room. And I just lie there like, holy shit, I think I'm actually having a panic attack right now. Like, people talk about it, but I think I'm getting one right now. And it was paralyzing. But then, because I'm quite emotionally regulated in terms of I know what to do when I'm really anxious or hyped up from all my competition days, but nothing was working. So I knew that I needed to let this out with my body, which means you either go for a run or you just start crying in your room. So I was like, well, I don't want to go for a run. So you know what? I'm gonna force myself to cry. And I'm not a natural crier. I'm not a really let it out sort of person. So I'm like, okay, start crying. It's not happening. I'm just like, shit, nothing's happening. I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, there's always one video that ends up making me teary, and it's Jackie Chan getting his Golden Globe in China.
Bruh.
You seen that video? No. Bro, something about that
We need to
video.
watch this. I haven't seen.
It gets me every time. So the whole premise is he goes through the history of Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
30 years in the film industry, and he shows his progression from stuntman with his team. Everyone's getting fucked up doing their stunts. Like back then, they had no safety. It was just like you just risk your life to make the film. Yeah. And the climax is all his original guys come back out, and they all look at him, and he doesn't know. And he turns around and he sees them all there and he breaks down. And that part where he breaks down, the music starts coming on, everyone breaks down, all these dudes start crying, and I start crying as well. So I'm like, yes. Like, so in my mind, I'm like crying, and I'm like, yes, I'm crying now. But at the same time, I find it hilarious that I'm trying to make myself cry on my first day in Kuala Lumpur using a Jackie Chan video.
Yes.
You know, like it's
a lot of combo.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So I start crying, he start coming out, and because I'm so happy I'm crying, I start laughing. So I start laughing for 10 seconds, start crying for 10 seconds, start laughing for 10 seconds. I'm laughing because I'm like, how stupid is this? You're looking at Jackie Chan videos in a room on a holiday and crying. And then I'm crying, oh, I'm so sad. And then, I'm so funny. It's so sad. Like 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight.
Really? That's like, I wonder what the people next door are thinking if they heard what was going on in your room.
Schizophrenia.
They would have thought I was crazy. They would have thought I was crazy. But you know what I learned that day?
Yeah.
What I learned that day was, as logical as you think you are, you put anyone in a position where you get them to breaking point and everyone will do the same thing. Like I personally consider myself quite mentally and emotionally sturdy, but even I experienced that and I knew that, man, if somebody goes through something like this, man, it's all good, man. I get it. I've been through the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would make you cry, Gary? I want to know what your video would be. I think Thai life insurance ads are pretty good.
Oh, I've seen one, I think.
They're usually pretty good.
Which
Get you
one?
crying. Just like the life insurance ads for like
Oh.
Thailand and stuff.
I actually don't know.
What gets you crying? You seem
A
like
lot,
a very
a lot.
really.
Yeah. No, like I was talking to my girlfriend. Shout out to my girlfriend. I
She's
was
in the
talking to my
background.
girlfriend about it literally the other day. Like the last 16 months, I've probably cried the most in the last 16 months than I have in my previous 26 years of living combined. Yeah, I've cried the most in the last 16 months relative, like I'm 27, everyone. I've cried the most in the last 16 months than I have in my 26 years before that combined. And it's a mixture of like happy and sad cries and frustration and angry cries. But yeah, I don't think I need a trigger. I guess I'm not as mentally and emotionally sturdy as Phil.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty easy cry. I'm more of a I guess I've been told I'm very emotional as a dude. I'm very emotional, and I believe that actually. I would say that that's definitely a part of my identity, and I don't try to hide my emotions. And if I'm upset, I will often let it out or find a way to express my emotions so I don't kind of pent it all up like most men do. And not saying that that's wrong, right? To each their own. But for me, I'm more of a, if I'm upset, I'm going to just let it out. Yeah. So I don't think I have a trigger video. I just cry.
What about the opening?
That sounds
of
healthy, man.
Feels broken inside.
Yeah, no Jackie Chan Golden Globes.
No, but that's the only video. Like nothing else does it for me.
I'll put in the show notes. If you guys watch it and cry, do let us know. But I'll check it out as well. I don't know. For me, I think the opening of Up's pretty sad. And also, I don't know if you guys know of, well, it's a pretty niche game, but The Walking Dead game.
Oh, is that the one where at the end that Clementine has
Clementine?
to... Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't cry, but it was sad.
Pretty sad moment. But yeah, that's like one of my, like, pretty easy to cry about. Going back to Phil here. Man, what a way to start your holiday.
Yeah.
Some Canadian bloke coming up to you.
Yeah.
So you had 5 days in this accommodation.
Yes.
What was your plan after that?
Don't know. Didn't have one. So my plan was just to get there and, as spiritual as this might sound, let the world guide me. Whatever comes up. I mean, I got there after eating a lolly, you know? So I thought to myself, there's no reason why I can't do this when I get there. I got there. I spoke to the first guy, the attendant, and I said, okay, I'm here. Where should I go next? He goes, Penang. Okay. And I thought, you know what? If somehow I'm guided towards Penang, I'll go to Penang. So that same day, after I had the breakdown, right? I can just really relax now. I'm chill.
It's reset.
Yeah.
Hard reset button.
I meet two chicks
Yeah.
and they come over. So, hey, where are you going? What's your plan? So I don't really have one, but I think maybe Penang. They're both like, oh, that's where we're going to. You want to go together?
What?
We'll see you there. All right, cool. So I thought, all right then, Penang it is. So I booked my Penang accommodation. I got there and I was there for like 6 days, 7 days. And then after that, those two girls were still with me and they said, okay, where are we going? And I said, well, apparently Langkawi is nice. I heard that Langkawi is this island.
Yeah.
It's nice. Okay, let's go to Langkawi. So we went to Langkawi and then ended up staying there for almost a month.
Where were the girls from?
So one
Who
girl
are
was...
they? What the fuck is
Huh?
this? Where do they come from?
So one girl was from New York City.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
wow.
But she works in Hong Kong. And the other girl's from Korea, but she lived in New York City.
Yeah.
So they're both like American.
Oh, they're both
waiters.
mates.
Yeah,
traveling
right.
together.
Nope.
They just met each other
We
too.
all just met each other
Oh, wow.
on that night. On that night.
You guys are driven by like a lot of just spontaneous things. Like the one thing with the snack, like the snack's from Malaysia. Let's go to Malaysia. You ask one question of the staff member. He tells you to go here. I'm like, all right, let's go there.
Yeah.
Are you not paranoid? Like, what if they rob you in your
That's what I was
sleep,
thinking,
or like
right?
or they're trying to seduce you to like
They'll
blackmail you,
drug
or
your
like,
drink.
you're not paranoid.
You wake
about
up
any of that.
naked. It always
It doesn't even cross my mind, man.
What? That's insane.
It doesn't even cross my mind.
That's
Honestly,
insane.
like, here's the thing. Like I said, if they're gonna scam you, they're gonna scam you. Whether it's your best mate scamming you or some stranger scamming you, if they're gonna scam you, it's gonna happen. So you can say no to everything, and yeah, you won't get scammed. But also, the opposite of a scam is opportunity. Like, you don't get any opportunities either.
Yeah.
So my
My
mind was always just the best things that happen in life, not just in my life, but inventions wise, they're all accidents. Penicillin was an accident.
Wisdom.
Penicillin was an accident. Like,
I heard of that.
it was because the petri dish, he just fucked up and he left it out somewhere and he invented penicillin. So
Alright.
all the best things in life so far are accidents. So if you don't let yourself go through accidents and things you don't, like, there's no plan, you can't plan it, you don't discover good shit. So you just stop planning things, let it happen. Look, I got scammed in Turkey. Right? I lost like $4,000. We'll get to that in a sec.
Okay.
But that but here's the thing. What I learned from that was so important for me
Yeah.
that now it's one of the key things that I teach in my sales course. Because they scam me so good. But they basically did a sales job on me and they were so good at it.
So it was an expensive lesson.
They showed me how you can actually gain someone's trust within a day and get them to hand over $4,000. I paid $4,000 for this lesson.
But it's a hell of a lesson.
It's a hell of a lesson, but like we said, universities charge you $70,000 and they don't give you nearly as good of a lesson.
Yeah.
True.
Like-
You need to scam. You need to scam. You need to scam.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
although
Go
I
to
don't-
Turkey and pay $4,000.
Yeah. So, although I don't think uni is a complete scam per
Yeah, if
se.
you're doing the STEM courses,
Yeah,
Sure.
The health science is good too. I gotta say, health science can be good,
sure.
but in terms of the promise they give you, that can be pretty scammy. Anyway, so I met these girls. I went to Langkawi for a month. Ended up hanging out with one of the other girls for almost like 2-3 weeks, and we became pretty good friends. And then after that, I went to Bangkok. I think I went to Bangkok after that.
How'd you decide on Thailand?
One of my friends lives there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went to Bangkok for almost like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I went to Bangkok and I just wanted to hang out with my friend. Nothing really special, like we just hung out.
I'm surprised you didn't do like what is it? Everyone trains there, like MMA or something.
Muay
or
Thai.
Muay Thai,
That wasn't
some
my
training arc?
That wasn't my plan because I like training, but at the same time, what I was seeking was lessons, insights in life that I could get them from Muay Thai, but I could get them anywhere. But if I keep going around, that's the goal. So yeah, I spent 2 weeks with him. I really enjoyed my time in Bangkok. Then I went to Laos for like 2 weeks, and then I kept going to other countries.
How many countries did you end up going to
Oh, like 10, 11, 12 or something.
in 10 months?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe little bit less. But above 5 or 6.
Would you do it again?
Right now, you mean in my current stage of life?
Yeah, or even within the next 3 years.
I would go and live somewhere and settle for maybe 4, 5, 6 months, probably, if I could make my online business take off. Yeah, I would.
Isn't that a bit harder if you have a partner though?
You can come.
I don't know. What about her work? Is it also digital?
You work it out, bro. So what? Here's the thing with me. You want to go somewhere, no matter what it is, there's always going to be a problem. So either you put in the work to solve that problem or you just don't. I don't see why you wouldn't just solve it. Like, okay, you want to go overseas, work together? All right, well, let's go find out how we can make some online income. What can you do right now to do that? My job, I do data science. Okay, can you do anything online as a freelancer? Yes, you can. Okay, when can you start? Tomorrow? Okay, start tomorrow. So, like, the way I look at it is a lot of things can be done. What kills people isn't the thing that they're doing. It's the time it takes from the idea to execution. That time, the longer you leave it, the less you do.
and to continue on to that point as well, would you say that most people kind of put themselves or restrict themselves in this little box of this 9 to 5 life and say they can't do XYZ because of money, because of family, or because of occupation, right? Because even now, as I'm 27, how old are you?
31.
Damn.
He's old.
Okay, didn't want to Kevin Hart you there, but no, but like as I'm 27 and I'm starting to realize that, right? Like, I don't know how to phrase this. Like, to a degree, I do believe you can do anything. You don't have to stay where you are at the job you don't like, or in the city you don't like, or in the home that you don't like, whatever it is. There are options. And like Phil is saying, the only thing that's stopping you is the time it takes for you to take action to get you from A to B. And I'm starting to realize that at 27 now, like being an online coach, sorry to go on a tangent.
Go for it, man.
I
love it when Kevin Hart talks.
being an online coach, I'm starting to realize, and people are probably look at this and go, oh yeah, but he's got the flexibility. But it wasn't always like this. It's because I'm now building it out, and I'm choosing to realize, hey, I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want. I don't have to be locked in any gym, stay anywhere, go to anywhere, or report to anyone. This is my life. I don't want to be, and again, there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5 or being in an office, whatever. It's just not for me. But at the same time, if I didn't want that to be the thing that limits me, right? And it's kind of the same with like, I'll use parents as an example, right? When parents say, oh, I can't do XYZ because of my kids. So are you blaming your kids for the life you couldn't live? Is that how we're looking at it? That's kind of how I see it, right? I'm starting to realize this, and I'm sure we're probably going to get some backlash. Like, oh, you don't understand. You don't have kids. Oh, you don't understand. You don't have bills to pay. Like, I've got fucking bills to pay, bro. Yeah. Like I said, the last 16 months, I've cried heaps. I've fucking cried
over the bills.
Over the bills, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I remember I literally told my mentor this as well, and Mon, my girlfriend, was next to me in bed. There was a point in time where we were in bed and I couldn't afford Uber Eats, and I was so hungry and I fucking cried in the last 16 months.
So the problem is ordering Uber Eats, because that's expensive.
The problem was the problem was I was flat broke.
Yeah.
I'm not anymore. But like at one point in time, right, I restricted myself and I was trapping myself in this box. You don't have to be, is what I'm getting at. Sorry to cut in.
No. I want to expand on that, because a lot of people actually need to learn about mindfulness, and I don't mean that from the perspective of meditation.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I want to go a bit meta with what I'm saying, because I think it's going to help a lot of people. You need to be aware that what you're thinking isn't what you're thinking. What comes to you, it's like a television. Your brain is kind of like a television. It just shows you stuff, and you think that it's what you're thinking, but it's actually just a channel. And if you're aware that it's just a channel, then you can change it. A lot of people say, in what Gary example was, is I have to be in a 9 to 5 because I got a bill to pay, I got to buy a house, I have to do all these things. My question to you is, why are there people in Europe that never aspire to own a home ever? Ever. They just rent. Why?
They don't be tied down to mortgage?
What's the real estate industry like that over there? What's the marketing like that over there? What are you bombarded with over here? Banking, home loan, dream home,
Sure, yes.
freedom, financial freedom, investing. It's all in the property game. Negative gearing doesn't exist in a lot of other countries. Do you really think what you're thinking is really what you are thinking? Or is it because you have been fed several things over your life that maybe they want you to think? And who's they? They could be the banking corporation. They want you to borrow because they want you to buy.
Or it could be your parents.
It could be your parents, but even then, do your parents really think that they're thinking what they're thinking? You know what I mean? Do you really think what your parents are saying are genuinely their thought, or is it something that they've been raised with from the doctrine of that time, and they pass it on to you? So, like, a lot of people, they think and they're scared of things that they probably aren't aware they have somehow adopted throughout their life that they didn't choose to.
So with that point, I think that can be similar to, correct me if I'm wrong here, parents wanting to push, like myself, to do something in STEM. Like that could be a thought process for them where they like, it's a safe career and it's stable income. You don't need to worry about anything.
So I would say the question is, where did they get that from?
Yeah.
Why do they believe that? Why do they believe that? Who fed them that story?
Uni's a scam.
It's probably ancestors, right? Like it's prestigious.
It could be.
Prestigious role.
It could be the culture, you know, within Asian culture, doctor, teacher, all these things are seen as a high social status, in high regard. That could be where it came from. But like how many times, but the thing is like, why are there so many parents, and not just parents, but now in our generation, why are there so many people who believe the same thing? Is it really true? But like if we're all individual thinkers and we genuinely think about things, we shouldn't be agreeing on almost everything. Like we shouldn't all think that we should buy a house. Because if we really thought it through, somebody would say, you know what, my circumstances are shit. I shouldn't be buying a house. I don't think I even want a house. But then 90% of people would say that's the thing you should do. So like, it's kind of like, where's your thought at? Do you really think you're thinking on your own? You think you're thinking on your own, but are you really? Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot of homeowners that might chime in here where they're going to be like, well, it's the financial decision. That's why everyone's investing in Perth, Queensland, whatever. And they're like, well, it's financially right to invest into a house. Like it makes sense.
It is financially right if that's the game you want to play.
Yeah.
Why are you playing that game? Like what makes that so important to you right now? Oh, maybe it's because I want to set up my family for next 30, 40 years and maybe it's going to be good money for me. And then, okay, cool. What are you trading for that? You trade the time that you have in the present for an asset that you have later on. When you might pay it off, you might put somebody in that house, you might put some renters in there and you justify the decision because it's good financially. That's good. But where's your time gone? If you really wanted to do the thing that you wanted to do, like maybe you wanted to start a band, maybe you wanted to go play some music, maybe you wanted to go travel a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's what you're giving up.
That's what I'm doing. I'm in the travel side of my life right now.
So I want to see if I'm getting this correct. Are you saying that people are giving up their hopes, goals, and dreams for something that society has pushed onto us and something that's kind of been indoctrinated in a way over however long?
So kind of what I'm saying is the choice you think you're making, do you really feel like that is your choice? You know, like you could just do what homeowners do, which is invest in Perth and do that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Except, are you doing it because you feel like you have to? Or are you doing it because you genuinely thought it through and thought,
and that's
you know what,
plan.
I could go travel for 2 years and I could do this, but I think I much prefer to do this.
Yep.
You know?
So you're kind of like weighing out the options rather than seeing this as your only option.
Yeah, like it's actually a free choice then if you weighed up a few options and you know you can do every single one of them. You just got to choose which one.
Yep. Rather than looking at it as, oh, this is what everyone's doing, I'm going to follow the crowd, or like this is what I've been told is right, and kind of doing that.
That's the plan that a lot of them have. It's FIRE, financial independence, retire early. Which is why they're investing so much money now and they want to retire before like, I don't know, 35, 40 or something.
So I pose this question. What's with the fascination of retiring early?
Right.
Why do you want to retire? Like you retire, the idea of retirement is you don't want to work for money anymore, right? That's kind of the idea of retirement.
You have passive income.
Passive income doesn't really exist. Doesn't really exist. Like if you want to get passive income, you want to get, like, let's just say stocks.
Yeah.
You got to check your stock. Don't you? Like you got to check whether it goes up and down. If something happens.
Depends. Like if it's an ETF, for example, then you would get residuals or payment. Like let's say, roughly, let's just say, I don't know, like Vanguard, where they invest in like the top 100 US stocks, for example. Let's say you put $1 million in, then roughly you might get like 50K in passive income.
You got to check the fees on that and like make sure you look after it a bit.
No, they invest for you.
No, but like the payment of that making look who's doing the investing for you. Like you got to check how much commission they're taking from your investment, right?
I don't know the specifics on this one.
Because that's what I've heard. Because you got to look after it somehow, or else you still got to put labor into it at a certain level. Maybe you put a bit less labor than other things, but you still got to check it at some point. Yeah, so that's why I think passive income is one of the worst things that people believe in, because I don't think the idea of not working for your money and letting it grow in your sleep is actually as achievable and lucrative as people make it out to be. Like I sell online courses. I have had times when I wake up and I have $300 enter my account. And you would argue that's passive income because I didn't work for it while I was doing it. But you know what? I got to spend time marketing. I got to spend time creating the course. I got to spend time liaising with people.
Yeah.
Like I still got to do things to make that happen. So, and if you don't keep that going, you make no sales. So that's not passive in that way. It's just that the transaction doesn't require me to be there.
The argument here with property is you leave it with the real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
And they just sort of deal with it. And then you're essentially getting passive rental income, which pays off the mortgage
Yeah.
eventually, which
Yeah.
turns into like your ROA or whatever after
Yeah.
like X amount of years.
Yeah. But you still have to talk to the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's no such thing as I just wanna put it here and do nothing and let it grow.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as that. And the more people understand, in my opinion, that doesn't exist, the happier they will be with what they have.
I see where both parties are going from. Yeah.
I'm not an investor for like in property, just for reference, but I hear a lot from others that do invest in property. But for myself, I think just recently there's been a lot of death around me where I feel like if it were to happen to me, would I really be happy with what I've done with my life? And obviously there's a balance, you know, you got to put some money on the side for emergency fund. And you also got to spend, for me, some time traveling as well. And my goal in life is to at least, you know, see the world, travel, see all these different cultures, foods, or whatever. And what we're hearing here is, everyone has different goals in life. You know, some people just want to invest. Maybe they want to travel when they're older. My thought process is, I don't think I'm going to be as fit when I'm like 40, for example. That's how I am now. So I want to do it now.
Yeah, I'll add on to that, man. We've both coached a lot of old people, right? Like 60s and above.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I have, yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
As a physio, I also worked with a lot of them. Not one person says to me, I'm so glad that I didn't do anything in my 20s and 30s and now I can travel. Not one. Not one.
Yeah.
They did this thing that you're talking, like not you, but people do.
People I know, yeah.
Look at history, man. Look at the people who've done it the previous generation and the generation before you. None of them say, yeah, I'm so glad I did all that and now I can travel in my 60s. None of them. Like for me, I have not met one old person that has told me that.
Yeah.
They all tell me the same thing. Go live your life.
Take risk.
Make the most of your days.
Travel more.
Travel more. Go
Yeah.
see things. Go
Yeah.
take risk. Don't worry. It's
Yeah.
all gonna work out.
Yep.
And the reason they say that is because at the end of it, at the end of your life, at 60, 70, what's all this money for?
And I feel for those people. Like they're the ones that like in some ways, right? The ones that end up with a lot of money, fair enough. When you're 60, 70, whatever, and you end up with a lot of money, fair enough. I feel for those who are in their 60s, 70s, don't really have that much money, but they also don't have time. And they kind of got screwed by the system, right? Where, yeah, they might have a house, but after they had the house, they still had to work. And then their kids move out, all that. And there's like, what was all that for by the end of it, right? And yeah, like you said, I've never met a person who went, I'm so glad I worked 40 hours a week every week for this 30-year mortgage and skipped the traveling to look after my kids and sacked my hopes and dreams to become a dancer so that I could work in, you know, analytics or banking or whatever. Again, nothing wrong with those jobs. But yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone starts confining themselves in this imaginary box and delaying life and chasing the dollar until the life gets drained out of them. And then they're the ones I feel really bad for.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, how old are you, Tong?
28.
28.
Yeah.
You just said you had a lot of death around you, right?
Yeah. Even people like are similar age.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
Like that's very unfortunate. For you to travel now is the best time because you cannot travel later on with the same pair of eyes. Okay.
What do you mean by that?
28 now. Are your parents still around?
Yeah.
Are they sick?
No.
Good. Travel now before they're sick. Because when they do get sick, you don't have the same pair of eyes anymore. When you're traveling, you're like, fuck, what's my mum doing? Is she going to be all right? What's my dad doing? Is he going to be all right? You don't have that luxury anymore. You go overseas in 5 years' time. I don't want this to happen to your parents, but let's just say one of them go, oh yeah, I have liver problems. I got to go to the hospital every month.
Yeah.
Who's going to take them? Maybe they go by themselves, but even you're traveling, you think to yourself, fuck man, I feel kind of shit.
What am I doing?
What am I doing? Like, I should be where my parents are.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't get that same luxury.
Yeah.
You're right. You don't get the same body. You also don't get the same luxury free from stress.
Mm.
So people who are in 35 years old, maybe 40, maybe they're thinking, oh man, if I want to have kids, I should probably have them within the next 5 years. But I still want to go travel for 2 years.
Yeah.
But you know, like there's more things you think about the older you get. That's a
Mhm.
luxury. That's a luxury you have when you're young. You don't think about these things.
Yeah.
So you do it when you can without that. And that's where the value is.
I think you made a very good point there with the parents aspect as well. On average, I would say as we approach 30s, our parents should probably be in their like 60s, maybe even close
70s.
towards 70s.
Yeah, that's my parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary thought to think about, oh, I'll live my life when I'm more financially independent in that 30 to 40 age bracket. But that's at the same time when people usually settle down, have kids, their parents experience medical issues. And then it's like, how do you start living your life for yourself then when you have so many external components that are not being a burden, but
you need to take care of.
Exactly.
And you should take care of.
Exactly.
You know, that's because every person eventually becomes the caretaker of whatever environment you're in. Like all of us will reach that stage where we have to look after our parents and the generation after us. Like that's just the role of society.
Yeah.
And like my mom said to me a couple of weeks ago, she goes, you know, Phil, you know, I would like you to settle, as in like just firmly ground and start developing business and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I do want you to keep doing what you're doing because let's be real, how many years do I have left with you? And it just hit me like, that's true. Mum's 67, 66, dad's 70,
Yeah.
like 80, 10 years, 10 years maybe. Like, I don't know, like things happen really quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I took as much risk as I could have in my 20s and I did what I did because I don't feel like I need to do any of those things right now. I am happy to just sit there and go, you know what? I like having dinner with my parents. I like just being with them and doing everything I need to do. I don't need to see the world because I have. I saw the world that I wanted to see and the world that I want to be in right now is where I am. I don't have any regrets on that.
Yeah. So you're kind of in the stage like a couple of years ahead of us where you've already gone through all that. And one of your quotes in your blog really touched me here where it was, I'd rather disagree in the short term than resent in the long term.
Yes.
I really love that quote.
Yep.
How did that apply to your trip overseas?
where did it come from?
Bit of coaching. You know, I realized that you make your client hate you in the short term
Yeah.
and they won't resent me in the long term. You know what I mean? In terms of my traveling, I'd rather let people who disagree with what I did, even though it was like not many, like all my friends were like, fucking go, bro, you know? But if you do disagree with me, that's fine. Because if I did something that was catering to you and I didn't want to, the short-term tension we will have might dissipate, but the long-term, my blaming you or my blaming myself is far worse.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll give you an example. Me and my dad disagreed on how I wanted to approach business. One of the things that he said to me was, you know, like you got a degree, you know, you got physio degree. Maybe a good course of action for you would be to just open your clinic, start working with patients.
That's the very safe option.
Right. And I said to him, you know what? I understand what you're saying, but I think that there's an opportunity for me to do a lot of things online. And I think that is not a bad thing. However, I want to be able to charge more per hour and make more money this way. So I disagreed and we had a bit of tension on that because he's like, I don't want you to go down the wrong path. And I said, I know you don't want me to. I genuinely don't think I am. Why? Because you also disagreed with me competing at the Commonwealth Games. You disagree with that path, and it's because we disagreed. I went through with it, and look where we are now. You know.
But the story here is don't listen to your dad.
Yeah. But okay.
Moral
So
story.
there's actually a bit of a truth here.
Yeah.
Your parents, unless they're very, very aware and constantly like improving their state, like their mindset with the times, what they generally tell you is for their era, not this era.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to be careful how much you take. You appreciate the wisdom, but you don't necessarily need to
Apply
adopt
it or
adopt it. Yeah. Anyway, things worked out pretty good. I was able to do the online stuff, and I told him my salary one day. I said, look, this is how much I make. I work about 15, 20 hours properly. because I have developed my CV to the point where I'm justifiably charging higher rates.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he just went,
He didn't want to say it.
That's as good as it gets for Asian parents.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, went through quite a bit of a tangent in terms of travel.
Yeah.
Let's dive back to Gary. So you've changed your lifestyle quite a lot. Now, I remember back in 2020, you were quite a nightlife loving kind of guy. And I felt quite bad sometimes because I was like, wait,
It's a very humble way of putting it.
I'm kind of actively financing this lifestyle of yours that you're doing on the weekend. And that's changed like pretty recently, right?
Yeah.
In the past couple months.
Last 16 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for context, Gary used to, maybe you can share what you used to do back on the weekends.
Yeah. So what Tung was talking about was as I grew as a PT, even before that, I used to party, as we do at the ages of 18 to 20. But in the ages of 18 to 20, you're broke, right? You don't have that much money to party. But as I started my PT career, and like I said, my first year made under 18 grand. Fucking rough. Very rough. Like a whole financial year, by the way.
Make more working at like McDonald's, man.
Literally. But as I put in more effort, took on the courses, the workshops, seminars, invest in mentors, and I'm just, a sponge absorbing all this knowledge and intel from people who are above me. I began to grow my business, and like I said, during COVID, that was the peak of it. And 2020, 4 years ago, I would have been 23. At the height of my career back in COVID, at 23, I was making a high six-figure income. And like Phil, I would work probably 20, maybe 25 hours a week of proper work. And I was living the life. And because I was making such a high income, the partying just went out of control.
It's like lifestyle inflation, right? You start doing more things, buying more toys,
exactly.
whatever.
As I'm making more money, exactly. I'm doing more things. Lifestyle inflation, I like that. Yeah.
Pretty common term, yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened, right? As I made more money, I would spend more money recklessly. Partying. It started off with just partying on, one day of the week or like a weekend, whatever. And then it turned into a whole weekend. And then it turned into, weekdays, and then eventually I'm partying like 4 out of 7 days in a week. Didn't matter what days. The weekends were guaranteed. But I would party on a weekday. It could be a Monday, it could be a Wednesday, it could be a Thursday. It didn't not matter. And just slamming drinks and doing other illicit substances because of lifestyle inflation, because I was young and dumb and I didn't know how to manage my finances, and all I wanted to do was have fun as I grew my portfolio of clients, as I improved on my skill set. And that's what happened.
Did you run into the same thing, Phil? Of because you would have started as a uni student, you wouldn't be making much income, and then
I was actually pretty good as a uni student because I had grown my PT business by that point. So I was on as a uni student working part time, I was on 50 something, 60K.
That's a lot for a student.
Yeah, I was working part time too. Yeah.
Back in your time as well. Back in your day, yeah.
He's not that much older than us.
Yeah, 3 years older.
Yeah, but they're like PT back then is probably different to PT now, especially like social media and all that as well. But that's impressive.
I was earning pretty decent while I was a uni student.
Yeah. That's good. Like, because a lot of people do run into lifestyle inflation where maybe you get a car loan. Please don't do that. That's really bad. Don't get a car loan. Or, you just buy more things. You buy the latest tech, latest phone or whatever.
Yeah, I never struggled with that. I've never bought things
materialistic stuff.
I'll buy. I'm a very simple person. I invest in what I need, as you can tell by my luggage. I don't buy things that I don't feel there's utility to.
Yeah.
So I've never struggled with lifestyle inflation. Maybe food. Maybe I'll just eat out a bit more, but that's about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to Gary. You doing a lot of partying then, and was there ever a sort of moment in time where you just had a wake-up call?
Yeah, it would have been May 2023, like the end of May 2023. It was bad. I think up until May 2023, I was partying, every week, didn't skip a beat for years. And then it wasn't until May 2023, so last year, where it got really bad because at that point, my productivity was dropping, my work ethic was dropping, so clients started dropping, so my financial side of things started to take a hit. But even then, when I say take a hit, it wasn't bad to the point where, you know, I'm just broke or like I couldn't afford to party. I was still making really decent money, and I think that was the issue, that it wasn't really good, but it wasn't really bad, and I'm kind of just stuck in this grey middle area where, yeah, I can still afford to party, but I probably shouldn't, otherwise I will end up rock bottom. And I could see that. And because I could see that in May 2023, after, I think it was like the last week of May, after each party, and it was like probably 3 on that week or something like that, after each party, I'd break down or I'd just go quiet. Like, because, you know, when you're partying and you're with a group of people, the energy's high, the environment's high, right? But once the party's over, kind of like Phil back in Malaysia on his first day in his room by himself, right? You're stuck with your thoughts and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I've got this like out of body experience, kind of how I describe it, where I might be standing over there, but I'm sitting over here. I'm looking at myself like, what is this guy doing? And I had multiple experiences like that, and my girlfriend would be with me each of those times, like those last 3 times. And after each of those parties, I'd be like, hey, like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good mentally. And I'd cry in front of her and I'd just break down. I'm like, this is not right. Whereas before, for the years of partying, it was all good and it was fine, partly because 1, I'm making bank, and 2, it just felt like the money wasn't going to stop, right? Until obviously it started to slow down and you notice these things. And that was the wake-up call where, because up until that last week of May, all the parties, I'd finish the party and I'd be like, oh yeah, cool, going to go to sleep, wake up next morning, bit hungover, a bit scat, bit whatever. But then that month of May, those parties just didn't feel the same. Yes, I would still have fun, but then the depression that followed, the anxiety that followed, it kind of just dialed to 11. And I'm like, okay, this is not right. And that's when I started talking to my partner about it. I'm like, this is not good. And then I remember that we had one more party, whereas me, my girlfriend, and we made a bet. I made a bet with her. I'm like, hey, look, I'm gonna go sober for the next 8 weeks. Otherwise, if I don't, I'm gonna have to buy her something like super expensive. And at that time, yes, I was still making money, but I didn't have enough money to buy her that. But at the same time, I'm a man of my word. So if I did lose the bet, I would find a way to fulfill that order, right?
Yeah.
But because I'm a man of my word, but I couldn't afford it, I'm like, fuck this, I need to get sober. So that 8 week really kind of set me up for me to sober up at that point. And up until May 2023, I'll be honest here, I can't remember the last time where I had a full week where I was sober prior to May 2023, yeah.
That's a long time of partying then.
Yeah. Like, even if it was just like once a week, I would at least party once a week, you know, alcohol, drugs, whatever. But up until that point, I'm like, fuck yeah, this is bad. And then that 8 week bet really set things up for me. And after that, I continued on. Once the 8 week rolled around and I was no longer, you know, beholden to that bet, and I was allowed to party, I continued on anyway, because I didn't want to ruin that progress that I had made. And I think it wasn't until week 13 did I finally break it. And I remember when I came back to partying on week 13, we were with a bunch of friends, and I had probably 3 drinks that night, amongst other things. But it was much more tame than it had ever been. And I decided to break it on that night because I was with close friends and I actually wanted to test myself and see, all right, if I party tonight, am I going to, you know, go balls to wall again like I did? And I was quite happy and proud to say that I didn't. I capped it at a certain, you know, limit, called the night at like 12 a.m., said to my girlfriend, let's go home, and then off we went. And then since then, I've partied 3 more times since then, and I haven't since.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised your partner stuck with you the whole time. If you were in this big party phase,
That's
No.
when you know she's the real one.
Yeah. She's
the
not on
real-
camera, but she is.
she the real
in
one.
the behind the camera.
Yeah.
But wow, she's
Yeah.
stuck you the whole time.
Yeah.
You're going through that.
Fucking junkie. Yeah.
I'm seeing the trend anyway with birthday parties or whatever. You know, you used to, everyone does the karaoke or you go out for the night, go clubbing, whatever.
Mhm.
But it seems the trend right now is just like you do dinner and you end it pretty early. We're just getting older.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
that's probably helping you try and slow down anyway.
Yeah, and I think another thing is like I don't really go out anymore these days. I still keep in contact with my friends, of course, but these days really it's just my girlfriend, work, train, Christ. That's it.
Quite a change, yeah.
Mm.
Very commendable, man. Like a lot of people do spiral out of control with substances, like even just something as simple as alcohol. And
Alcohol's not simple. It's actually the worst one you can have. Alcohol
The
is the
worst
worst
addiction.
addiction you can have. It's the worst drug you can have.
yeah. I mean, that's more like it's so easily accessible.
Yeah.
And if you were to say, oh, like I'm not drinking, people can kind of like
Look at you funny.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Yep.
really? Like you don't want to drink
Yep.
tonight? But that's why it's so simple.
Not the right
like
friends
it's so
to
easy
have,
to
by
just
the
get
way.
into and just hard. It's hard to break out of.
Mm.
But wow, did you ever drink at all? Like much these days?
I don't drink anymore. I lucked out because I actually don't like drinking. I never liked the taste. I never liked the feeling. I like the feeling of other substances. But then oftentimes when I'm coming across other substances, alcohol just happens to be there.
Yeah.
And because of that, I would just have it. But alcohol alone, I can actually say no to, and I'm confident in that. It's other things that are kind of like the skeletons in the closet.
Do you find it a lot difficult to do online coaching compared to in person? How do you find the difference?
Yeah, I would say it is a little bit more difficult in terms of, one, getting clients, but also two, coaching the clients to their result. It obviously depends on the client as well and how willing they are to, you know, put in the effort and sacrifice necessary to achieve whatever goal they're hoping to achieve. But yeah, there's an element of face-to-face training that just makes it easier because you see this person weekly and you're talking to them in person. So you're able to catch and tell whether they're lying to you or whether they're withholding information from you or whether or not they're actually genuine about the goals that they're setting out. Whereas with online clients, it's not like I'm not talking to them, but there's an element where it's a little bit difficult to communicate with someone and express my emotions, my care, my tonality to them, and same with them to me through messaging or just through a phone call where you can't see body language, where you can't see facial expressions. And especially through messaging, it's tough to convey tone. And sometimes things can get lost in translation.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I would say that would make it a little bit more difficult for online coaching relative to like face-to-face personal training.
Yeah. How does it work for physios then? Because aren't you supposed to do like massages and stuff? Am I thinking of something else?
No, physios do massages and dry needling. I don't do physio online.
Well, you shifted.
I
your
was always
business
coaching still.
to online.
Still coaching. Yeah, I was still doing weightlifting online coaching. I was doing general strength training. Some people were trying to lose weight. I was still doing that stuff. But I embedded my physio knowledge inside my coaching services.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah, I was probably, people talk about hybrid now. I was actually doing it
Yeah.
before it became a thing. Yeah. Because I just said to people, you know what? I make more money as a PT who has a physio degree, not a physio who has a PT cert. So I'd rather just be a PT with a physio qualification.
Yeah.
I can charge more, I'm worth more. But as a physio with a PT degree, so it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm not here to see you for PT, I'm here to see you for physio. But they come to see me for PT. Oh shit, he's also a physio. More value. Yeah.
But you were doing it in person initially?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you find the transition difficult as well? To online?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was that difficult, but I agree with everything that Gary said. There's definitely, especially with me, I would say there's an energy that's exchanged. Whether sometimes it's not even just what you say or like what coaching methods you have. It's just whether they feel this energy coming from you and them being there is the value that you're providing. Away from what technical expertise you can give them or the technical advice, it's not that. There's an energy that you create with them in person that gets them where they want to go.
Yeah.
And there's two different styles that I've noticed that some coaches would have. I mean, there's probably more, but there's the nurturing style and then there's the more blunt style. And I've noticed in your stories, Gary, a lot of the advice you give can be very blunt. Do you find that more effective to convey a message across?
I find it's more efficient, but it's not always the most effective. I'm also in the process of, because I've gone through such a change personally in the last 16 months, I'm noticing that my coaching style is also molding into the new person that I am. But would I say my coaching style is the best? Absolutely not. And I say this to my partner as well as to my clients all the time. My way of communicating is efficient, but it's not the most effective. And I say that because I like the idea of being nice and nurturing, but people don't often receive the message through pleasantries, through being nice.
Yeah.
Whereas if I tell you, look, you're being a bit of a piece of shit, I don't say that exactly, but yeah, I don't say that exactly, right? But it's a lot quicker for me to just go straight to the problem. But the reason I say it's not the most effective is because we are emotional, right? Humans are emotional by nature. And sometimes people don't take my blunt, direct coaching style the way that I expect it to be taken. And sometimes they fight back. Sometimes they break down. Sometimes they accept it. And I would say it's probably 60-40. 60-40 in the way of accepting it. 40, people fight back or they argue or they break down and, and then the cycle just repeats.
Yeah.
That is my coaching style that's beginning to evolve again as I evolve.
Yeah. So for context here, it's, let's just say an example of what Gary might post would be something like, if someone's struggling to lose weight, it's probably because they're not counting the calories. That's pretty much most cases anyway. Now, Phil, is your coaching style of a similar kind of style or?
No, not really. I do whatever is appropriate for the person in front of me.
Comes up.
Yeah, whatever is appropriate for the
As
person
you
in front of me.
As a coach.
But blunt is good. Nurturing is good. Sometimes beating around the bush is good too. Sometimes it's actually very effective to almost like waste a bit of time with the person in front of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because all that matters is the message gets through and you see the change that you want to see. And so whether I'm blunt, whether I'm nurturing, whether I'm beating around the bush, whether I'm just like piss fighting around, if I get what I want, then that's the most important thing. Yeah, but I will say that I think your involvement in Christ Now would definitely change the way you coach. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm noticing it, and even Moniz as well.
Yeah.
And even in some of the content I'm making, I'm noticing my tones changing and the way I deliver the same message is changing as well. And I like that. It's not that I don't like my blunt style of coaching. I do. And I believe some people out there actually need that blunt style. You need a bit of a telling off, or you need someone to kind of lay down the hammer on you. Because I am also a firm believer that there are people out there who are in the state that they're in because they don't have someone being blunt to them and telling them that, hey, look, you should probably do something about your health and fitness before you get a heart attack or before you get diabetes or before you get a leg amputated, right? And then they act when it's too late. And that's partly why I'm blunt, because I notice that these people don't have a person like that in their lives to tell them the way it is. But at the same time, I can also see the value in nurturing a client or being a bit more gentle. And that's something I've always struggled with until recent, where I'm learning to be a bit more empathetic, to be way more understanding, and to be more gentle with my words. Because, no one likes to be yelled at. No one likes to be spoken down to. And no one at times likes to just hear the truth, right? The truth hurts, as the old saying goes. And I'm beginning to learn that. And then that's where I'm seeing evolvement in my coaching style.
The previous point we had was the box people put themselves in. Now, we had a bit of a different example and scenario where it's more of what are you going to do with yourself financially in the future, whatever. How much of this box metaphor that people put themselves in fits into like taking care of themselves.
Oh,
with
man.
their weight or you know. their
Well, I
health.
mean, look at him. He's got something. He's raring to go. Take it away, Gary. Take it away.
Oh, my
Look at him.
days.
I'm sure you both have something to say.
Oh.
I just want to hear what Gary says. I just want to hear what Gary says.
Let him build it up. I want to
Yeah.
see his face get red. Phil, why don't you start? I don't think Gary has anything to say right now.
I think you got to give me an example.
So let's say the box, right? People might say, I don't want to go to the gym because it doesn't fit in my schedule, or there's too much work with counting my calories. It's a pretty common example that comes up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be something.
And so the question is, what's my perception of why people box themselves like that so easily?
and how can they break out of that?
Okay, I'm going to give a very harsh answer.
Yeah.
At this stage of my career, you either want it or you're too dumb.
Okay, that's the way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, the most important thing in action and impulse control is IQ. Basically, if you're not like very low in IQ, your impulse control is pretty good. You should be pretty good. So if you don't have the ability to control yourself in simple things, like you can't make yourself go for a walk, or you can't control eating a certain food, or you can't control yourself drinking something, like, and I mean like repeatedly, like you actually cannot do it, and tell yourself you can't. Either you can call yourself dumb, admit that you're dumb, because that's what generally research is showing,
Yeah.
or you're just not putting in the effort. So to me, it's one or the other. Apart from that, it all comes down to whether or not this person truly wants to change. You know, after the first question, if somebody wants to lose weight and you ask them, okay, well, what have you been doing with your macronutrients? Have you been tracking? No. Why? Because I haven't been. It's just too much work after work. I'm too tired. Okay, fair enough. So what can we do that's easy to incorporate, not counting, but still putting you in a deficit, like buying pre-made meals or cooking in bulk on the weekend? Something that you can do. Oh yeah, but then everything is really expensive. By the time you get to the second excuse, you know you really don't want to change. And the way I go with this now is, once you get to the second part where you come up with your second or third excuse, I want that person to reflect and stop and just witness what they've done. You witness that you've given 3 excuses, and the 2 of them you have made up on the spot. Right? The first one is what you always tell yourself, oh, I'm just too tired after work. The second one is the one that you tell as an excuse after the first one gets busted. And then the third one is the one you tell because you just don't want to do it. Right?
Okay.
So like you creatively created 2 more excuses.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, does your mind rule you, or do you rule over your mind? Like, that's my question to you. You've given us 1 excuse that you actually think of all the time, and the 2 other ones you've made up. So if you truly are a person who wants to do things for yourself, are you controlled by your thoughts because you rapid fired 3 excuses? Or are you able to just go, you know what? I'm making shit up. They're all lies. Let's just get it done. Right? So that's the way I look at it now. Most people, which is why I go back to the mindfulness thing, most people don't realize that they're actually controlled by their mind more than they are in control of their mind.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different perspective, but it's probably similar to what Phil just said once I kind of describe it out. But I think most people have this box that they put themselves in, but I actually call it like the stories they tell themselves, right? Most people have these stories that they tell themselves as to why they can't do something. Whether it's, I can't go to the gym because I'm anxious, or I can't go to the gym because I'm too busy, or I can't go to the gym because of kids, or I can't go to the gym because XYZ reason. Again, we're going to probably get some fucking backlash from this.
It's okay,
I don't
Gary.
care. But like,
It's okay.
You're like, you guys are
Can't please everyone.
You're going to hit us with the comments like, oh, you don't understand. But here's the thing. I do understand. That's why I'm telling these things to you, right? When you think deeper into these stories that you tell yourself, ask yourself this. 1, what is the story doing for you? 2, where do you go from here? Say you're severely obese and overweight.
Oh, but that video I sent you, 600-pound life.
I actually didn't watch it yet.
Oh,
It's a TLC, right?
yeah.
That's some trash television.
But yeah, like, one, what is that story doing for you? Two, where do you go from here? But say you're someone who's severely obese or you're overweight, or maybe not even severely obese. Maybe you're just unhappy with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And the way you look. But then when you think about the things you need to do to be more confident, lose weight, look better, whatever, and it's usually just training and dieting, and then you start to have all these stories in your head going, oh, but people are going to judge me, I'm too anxious to go to the gym or whatever, right? And that stops you from taking action. Ask yourself those two questions. One, what are these stories doing for you? And two, where do you go from here? Because it's not hard to break down. I'll start with the second question, because the first one's pretty self-explanatory. Those stories do nothing for you. But two, where do you go from here? If you always let these stories hold you back and stop you from taking action to do the thing you need to do to achieve the goal that you want, then the opposite outcome to that is you don't achieve anything and you stay stuck in this overweight, unconfident, depressed, anxious body, but you're too in your feels or too in your stories to do anything about it. So that's it. You either overcome these feelings by taking action, or you remain in the same spot because of inaction. They're the only options. You either take action and change, or you don't and you stay the same.
Or you deteriorate.
Or you deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
And that's what these stories of I'm anxious, or people are judging me, or I'm scared to fail, or what if XYZ happens, that's what these stories are doing for you. And so it's not doing anything for you. It's not doing anything positive, right? That's how I look at things. And mind you, I'm not sitting on my ivory tower looking down on everyone going, I never get anxious. I try everything. No, I get anxious. I get stressed. I get nervous. I get nervous meeting new people. But I do it anyway. It's okay to feel these things, and it's also okay to feel these things and do it anyway. That's the difference. Where most people go wrong is that they feel these things and they let it stop them, and then they wonder how they can overcome this feeling. You overcome the feeling by taking action. That's it.
By doing the thing that you don't want to do.
By doing the thing you don't want to do. But I feel it. Okay, feel it. Feel it and do it anyway. You have my sympathy. Like what else do you want from me? Or what else do you want from your coach or your friends or your family? Like every time you go to someone to talk about your problems and you go, oh man, I'm so upset because of my financial status. I'm so upset because of work. I'm so upset because I'm overweight. And then someone presents you with a solution and you're like, oh yeah, but what? But what?
Yeah, so I want to add on to what Gary said. Two things. The first one is everything he's talking about. I always keep circling back to your mind. Who's in control, you or your mind? What's the number one thing the mind likes to do when it's pushed out of a comfort zone?
Pull you back in.
It pulls you back in.
That's right.
So when he talks about the excuses, it's just your mind is always trying to hold on to the status quo. It's always trying to pull you back in. And all that anxiety, that's just your mind not wanting you to go out of its comfort bounds. So again, who's in control here? Is it your mind or is it going to be you? You're the person who's supposed to action and use your mind to achieve certain things. And the second thing is, he said that he understands. My take, honestly, is nobody's ever going to understand you. Nobody's in your body. Nobody's in your head. So you can say to anyone, you don't understand. You know what? I don't, man. But guess what? Nobody will. Only you. So whether you like it or not, man, that's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not in your body. I don't know what you're feeling. You're anxious. Clap, clap. Everybody else is too. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm anxious about going on my first date because like, what if they don't like me? Actually, I think that's everyone. Everyone has that same thing.
Yeah.
I'm anxious about going to the gym. People are going to look at me.
Felt
Maybe,
that as well.
guess what? I have.
Yeah.
I've looked at a newbie and gone, oh, that's a noob. I'm going to go help that person. That happens too. And then there's other people who go, what a noob. Look at him. That's true too. Like people, they have this weird thing where they don't like to accept that the reality of the world include the good and the bad. Okay?
Yeah.
As long as you accept that, and whether it's good or whether it's bad, just accept they're both going to happen. All the good is going to happen, all the bad's going to happen. Either way. So you just have to move yourself forward. Is that going to bring me closer, like what Gary said, towards where I want to be? okay, well then I got to go put myself in that position. If I don't, then I'll stay over here. But guess what? There's going to be good. You get comfortable, but
Yeah.
the bad's also going to be deterioration, stuck in whatever body. If your fitness goals is what you're after.
Or your situation worsens, yeah. And I think these days, come back to my coaching style, when I'm blunt versus when I'm nurturing. When I'm nurturing, it depends on the person in front of me. When I'm nurturing, I will speak to the client or speak to the person in front of me and try to understand where they're coming from and guide them or steer them in the right direction so that they take action, right? But at the same time, when I know that the person in front of me is taking the piss and they're not really looking to change and they tell me, yeah, but I feel this, my blunt coaching style would be like, okay, so where do you go from here? If XYZ thing is holding you back from doing the thing you need to do, okay, cool. I completely understand. So do you want to stop? Do you want to stop training? Do you want to stop dieting? But why did you come to me in the first place? Because you were unhappy. So if we stop training and stop dieting, will you be happier? Or will you feel worse? Will your situation get better or will it get worse, right? Like, these are the things that people aren't thinking about because they're so focused on their story, on their emotions, on their excuse, that, or the box that they confine themselves in, that they aren't thinking longer term. They aren't, I guess, forecasting what will this look like in 3, 6, 18, or even months, right? Or even 2 years. If you keep giving in to these thoughts and feelings, what happens? Where do you go from here? Like, if you want to stop because you're feeling this way, okay, then let's stop. Let's just stop. Stop training, cancel your gym membership, stop dieting, don't count your calories anymore because it's too hard. You know, don't go to the gym because you're nervous. Let's just stop it all. Just stop it all. Then what? That's what I'm asking. Like, then what?
Yeah, Gary is definitely more of a hammer person. Yeah, definitely more of a hammer person. Yeah.
I really hope this is motivating some people that are listening out here if you haven't taken the plunge yet.
I mean, I will go one further and offend a lot of people, but people with a lot of excuses. I'm really big on personalities and like reading people. A lot of these people are actually inherently very selfish people.
Damn.
What makes you say that?
You listen to the language. Everything's me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want. Everything's about me. It's not about you. Like, yeah, you're in your body, but you serve a bigger purpose than just what you think you're doing with your life. Like, you're part of a community. You're part of a friendship circle. There are people who rely on you. There are people. Your family wants you to be the best, so you're part of something bigger than yourself.
And to give an example to the audience, getting healthy, getting in shape, losing weight, it's not just for yourself. You get healthy so you can live longer, hopefully, for the people around you. So you can be around longer, right? Or so that you can be fit enough to run around with your kids so that you can toss them up in the sky or whatever. You're not just living for yourself, even though you might think you are. And I think that kind of circles back into Phil's point about being selfish. You're too in your own head about your feelings and these negative thoughts that probably no one's even thinking about. Like, no one's judging you. No one's pointing fingers and going, ha, 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 they're trying to get in shape. Like, it's not doing anything for you.
Yeah, like, even if there was, it's like 1 out of 100 people.
Yeah,
and those people are very sad too. Very sad lives. The ones who do that. Yeah, but you know, you're just too self-obsessed, man. Like, you're not that important.
Yeah.
We don't care that much about you, man. Like, as in, yeah, cool, go lose weight. But if you walk into the gym, I might look at you for 1 second and then I think nothing of you.
Yeah,
So,
you're
like,
on to
do
the
you
next
really
thing.
think you're that important that somebody's going to stop there and think about how stupid you look or what clothes you're wearing or what color your hair is? Like, no, we don't. We don't.
Yeah, there's a saying about that. It's everyone's the main character in their own world.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that applies to the gym. No one cares. It's like if even now, like, you know, no one's got attention spans anymore. They look at you and they're like, "What do I get dopamine next? I'm gonna
Yeah.
look
So
at my next reel."
So that phrase for me, actually, I don't like that phrase personally.
Which phrase?
The main character thing.
yeah,
Like, everyone's a main character.
In their own story.
Yeah, I actually think, for me, like, this is my own personal belief, I want to be the best side character in somebody else's life.
Damn.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
a better way to put it.
Yeah, I want to be the best side character in somebody. Like, I want to be a great side character to Gary. Like, I want.
You have been.
Yeah, you know, like,
You have been.
that's my goal.
Yeah.
Because if you put your focus on yourself as the main character, you will never find joy, in my opinion. Because self-obsession is number one going to walk you down the path of depression and anxiety.
Yes.
You're too obsessed about yourself.
Well, the quote I'm saying isn't meant to be good.
Yeah, okay.
It's,
yeah,
not
yeah.
Meant, it's not meant to be.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just building on that
Yes,
word itself.
yes.
But just aim to be a good side character, man.
Now that we're diving into more controversial stuff, people always have different diets for losing weight. You got, what is it? There's keto, there's like carnivore diets. Do you think any of them are effective?
Used to be paleo. Paleo was, do you remember paleo?
It's very familiar. What's that involve?
No carbs, no rice, no grains.
Isn't that
nothing.
keto?
Keto.
Wait, paleo was, what was paleo?
Was that a different?
It was same thing.
Is
Same
it?
thing. It
It's
was
not the
meat.
name?
It was meat and only like
Which one's the fish only one?
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian.
Yeah,
That's been
yeah.
around for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Do you think any of them are effective? Are the ones that are more effective?
They're
or-
all effective.
Yeah. Gary, you should take over this
Yeah.
one.
They're all effective,
Yeah.
honestly. Like keto, paleo, pescatarian, carnivore. As long as you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. So you just got to find whichever one you enjoy and you're able to stick to consistently.
So it's that simple.
Is it?
Calorie deficit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of nutrition for normal people, like if you don't have anything wrong in your organs, is very simple. Oh, I would also add that depending on where your race of people is from, you should probably stick to what your race of people generally ate.
Yeah.
Generally, because I believe that there are people who don't process, say, white bread, flour,
Gluten
or
or-
gluten well.
yeah.
Milk. I know Gary's
Yeah,
lactose.
lactose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Asians, like I'm
Yeah.
not the greatest, but you stick to the foods from your region of
Yep.
where you came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's harder to gain or lose weight?
For me, gain.
I mean, I think all of us here had to gain weight.
At some
We were
point,
all
like
skinny,
hard
right?
gainers, yeah.
I was always lean, but I wasn't skinny. Like
Okay.
I always had muscles, quite a higher amount of muscle mass.
Right.
Yeah.
Gary was pretty skinny. I was pretty skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all agree that it's harder to gain weight. But so, okay, we're all on the same side. Yeah.
It's individual dependent. Like
Yeah.
you can definitely do either, provided that you count your calories. Yeah, like what isn't measured cannot be managed to a degree. But I think once you've done it long enough, you kind of have a good understanding of what your body wants, needs, or has to have quantity and quality wise. But you can gain weight and you can lose weight just as easy as the next person if you know how to do it.
Yeah, because Michelle like always hates me talking about how I hate eating. I'm like, she's like, I want your body. I want to eat as much as you. I'm like, I just hate eating. It's such a chore to me sometimes.
Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes.
Do you guys like cold showers? That's a really big one.
No.
I like only in summer. Only do in summer.
I don't mind them in summer. I actually like them in summer.
Not in winter.
Yeah, no, I don't like them at all.
All right. Phil, I thought you would have been quite big on that sort
Bit
of
more David
mental, fortitude.
Oh,
of
don't get me
doing
wrong. I showered cold
showers
showers for like 30 days straight in winter.
in winter.
Yeah, I did it because I was just like, fuck it, I'll do it.
This Karsten
I hated
shit.
every single day. I never liked it.
Insane.
I never liked it. But doesn't mean I can't do it. I just don't like it. For the purported benefits,
There are.
there are, but some people do it after they train, which is fucking stupid because they're messing with the mechanism that actually helps them gain
Yeah,
shit.
it's shown to blunt hypertrophy.
Like how
apparently.
stupid is
Oh,
that?
really?
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go lift weights and then
And
go
cold
recover.
shower after, yeah.
Have a cold shower or an ice bath, which blunts the effect of your training. That's for training though. If you finish the hard field session
Yeah.
and you're playing a game the next 2 days, go for gold. Go ice bath because it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Good for you. Some people say it's good for immunity. It's good for my mental game. That's fine. Go do that as well. But if you're training for like muscle strength and hypertrophy,
Yeah.
and then you go into a cold shower after you train, you're wasting your efforts the previous 40 minutes.
So you're saying wait before doing it?
Just don't do it, bro.
Don't do it
Just-
after hypertrophy training.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What's the other thing people do? It's not an ice bath. It's that. No. It's that cold thing people stand in. What am I talking about? Cryo.
Same
I know
thing.
nothing about that, but
Same
yeah, I
thing.
would assume it's the
Same
same.
mechanism.
But you know about it, Gary.
I've never
Yeah.
tried it, but
I know
heard
about
of
Is there much benefit to that?
Same thing. It's the exact same thing as cold bath.
Oh,
Same mechanism.
ice thing.
Yeah, just cold.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm a fan of them because I think for me it helps me overcome that that push. Like, let's say for example, like bungee jumping, you need to have that mentality to just do it. And it's the same thing with a cold shower. I'm standing there in the shower naked. The water's running,
Yep.
and you're just like, I need to push myself to just walk in
So
there.
you're trying to build willpower, essentially. Yes.
I think that helps in my sense. But I only do it in summer. I'm not that crazy to do it in winter. There was a coach that Gary did work alongside with. I think his name was Thomas, and he said he did cold showers like every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
I thought that guy was insane.
I think he still does, probably.
Still does.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But man, look, stuff like this, it's like, that's cool. I understand the sentiment, but I'm not bagging anyone for doing it. All I say to that stuff is, that's cool, you had a shower, that was cold, and it was hard. Good for you. The real hard shit isn't like that. The real hard shit isn't just having a cold shower. The real hard shit is when your heart is like trashed and you have no reason for, like, you have nothing left inside you. Like when you go for a cold shower, you just a little bit scared. But in here, I'm talking about in your heart, you're still okay. Like you're just scared. You go do it, that's fine. The real hard shit is, okay, you haven't slept for 48 hours or a week and you're depleted. Do you still have the ability to do the hard shit that you say you want to do? Like that's my thing with a lot of this hard stuff. It's like, oh, I'm saying hard. Look, David Goggins, okay, fair enough. Like this guy runs a half marathon every day.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like that's really, really hard. But for everybody else, there is no difference to me whether you take a cold shower or you go sprint every day for 15 minutes, like with a warm up. There's no difference to me whether you do that or you have a cold shower. In fact, I argue that going for a fast 15-minute run is probably harder than having a cold shower for a minute.
Yes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's just this fad thing for me that doesn't really... Look, if it helps your life, good for you. But a lot of people also do it as a signaling thing. Oh, I'm so tough. Look at me do this.
If you're really using it to project how much better you are, it's a different story.
Yeah. Like, bro, if you want to do something hard, go walk outside without your shirt when it's cold for an hour.
That's a lot worse.
What's the difference? You know what I mean? What's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Phil brought up a good point about being a physio.
Yeah.
That there is no magic massage for everything.
No,
Sometimes it's just simple action of inaction.
Yeah. Well, look, when I was practicing, and even now when I do have to help my athletes go through the rehab, I have a 3-step process. Number 1, find the nail. What's causing this issue? Find the nail. 2, remove the nail. And then 3, patch it up. That's basically it. So, like, we just brought up Gary's girlfriend who I helped with her shoulder. She told me that she was having shoulder problems because work was having her do certain things. And a lot of times, a lot of therapists will go through the process of trying to identify these range of motions and like what's deficit, what's wrong here, what's wrong here, right? And then we're going to strengthen this. But I looked at it and I just said, you know what? I think the only thing you should be doing is not doing that as much. And that's the best thing I can tell you. And that's what she did. And now she's better. Right? Like that's honestly, sometimes that's all you need to do. Yeah. And like I'm going to use my parents as an example. Never use physiotherapy. Painters, right? And so very physical job.
Yeah.
They're 70 something. My mum's just starting to get a bit of arthritis.
Yeah.
My dad's fine. He's 70 years old. They do barely anything. They just go, oh, it hurts a bit. You know what? We'll just take a couple of days off and then go back a bit slower. That's it. And they have maintained themselves for the last 40 years of their career.
Yeah.
So much of rehab is overcomplicating what should be very simple. If something you're doing hurts, do less. If it still hurts, do less than that. If it still hurts, stop doing it. And then in the meantime, work on some other thing like strengthen or other stuff, right? But a lot of stuff is not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what pain is, right? It's a signal from your body telling you, hey, look, probably chill out on this.
Yeah. Apart from surgery, look, surgery is different. Like dislocations, that's complex. But most injuries that people just get day to day, muscular, like you'll be fine, man. Like just you'll be all right.
I think the thing is, just to end this point, with physios or some allied health professionals, not all, but some, they kind of fearmonger people. They're like, oh, they make it seem like a bigger deal than it actually is. But obviously that helps them with recurring business. But yeah, that's the main thing.
So I would probably slightly interject with what Gary's saying. A lot of health professionals are actually great therapists. And there's a lot of value to sometimes all of them actually know that what they're doing is of like 20% impact and 80% of it is just natural course of history. Like your patient will get better. But the problem is the patient gets in the way of themselves. That's the problem. Sometimes the patient will come in and tell you, I've got this problem. And your job is just to reassure them and keep them in line to get to that end part and let the body do its thing. Otherwise, they're going to start trying all these things, look up all these things. They're going to be on Google for 2-3 hours on WebMD trying to find out. And that is actually worse because it makes them spiral.
That's me for sicknesses.
It's probably cancer, bro.
And then it increases their stress, increases what they're thinking about their injury. And they come in and it's like, dude, it's not that bad. But because you're so anxious now, I had to spend 6 weeks with you just to reassure you so you're going to be okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, I know we've been going all over the place. Now, it's kind of like a TV show where they, it's like border security, right? And they cut through different cases of people to make sure you're on the line till the end of the episode. Now, here, we're going to go back to Phil's overseas episode.
Okay.
Or your overseas stories. And what happened after this? So you were...
So I was in Bangkok for a bit, went to Laos for a couple of weeks. Nothing spectacular happened there. I just saw some really cool stuff. Riding motorbikes everywhere. It's just so much freedom for me. Went back to Bangkok for a week, hung out with my mate again, and then I flew to Georgia, the country. And the only reason I flew there is because I met some guy called George. And I was like, well, Georgia, why not? Let's just go to Georgia.
I love these thought processes of like where to go.
Yeah, like why not? Why not? So I went to Georgia, and when I got there, it was a huge culture shock. I was like, whoa, like the people here are completely different from the Southeast Asians. Because this is the Caucasus region. It's reasonably still, like they've just had a history of the Soviet Union, communism. Like there's an energy to that place that is a little bit depressed. And so I spent a couple of weeks in Georgia. Only Asian there, by the way. Like nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody. Like everybody looked at me like, what the hell? Like, what's this guy doing here?
Alien, bro.
Yeah, but the alien part was when I started speaking. They go, what the like? Why do you sound like that? They never met an Aussie Asian.
Really?
Yeah, but that's a lot of the world. But that's a lot of the world.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, a lot of the world actually find us very strange. You really think about it.
We are really far.
We are really strange. We are Asians who speak with an Australian accent. There's only like 7 million of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the grand scheme of the world, we are very unique in the grand scheme of the world. So these guys, I'm having a good time here. It's nothing that interesting, I would say. I just saw some stuff. And then I went to Armenia, which was really cool. I had some really good stories from there, but I don't think I'll get into that because then we're gonna talk too long. But then after Armenia, I spent a couple of weeks there. I went into Turkey.
Yes.
This is like the climax of the trip.
Yeah, okay.
So I went to Turkey, and long story short, I'll go backwards from here. At the end of the night, I'd been scammed $4,000.
Yes.
Right?
So was this near the end of your trip?
No, halfway.
Okay.
Halfway.
Wow.
Okay, after that, I flew back to Thailand. I got into a fight in the ring and then other stuff.
Okay.
So I got scammed $4,000.
Yes.
And how this story starts is I get to Istanbul, first day there, like the Canadian guy. The first day there. It's evening, it's like 5 o'clock, and I really want to go check out the mosques. So Turkey, Istanbul is very famous for their mosques. I'm in the mosque. I'm learning about Islam. It's beautiful, everything. Everyone's really nice. I walk outside and this gentleman comes up to me. He goes, excuse me, have you got a lighter? And I was smoking at the time, so I lit him up. Then he started talking to me about where I'm going, what I'm here for. And he's like, look, I'm by myself. I'm a Turkish local. Why don't I show you around? I looked at him and I thought, it looks a little bit dodgy, but yeah, all right. Yeah, what's the worst that's going to happen, right? So I went out with him. We started walking towards a bar. And he started talking to me about girls and how he's married, but he wants to still sleep with Turkish girls because Turkish women are so beautiful.
Right.
And asking me about, do I want to sleep with Turkish women? And it's like a boys' conversation. So I'm going along with it. Like, yeah. And I got to a point where I thought he was gay. Because he was giving me this vibe. He was so friendly and just trying to push me to this bar.
It's like rubbing your shoulder or something, or your thigh.
No, not even that. Just the way he looked at me.
Oh.
Just a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
And so I started to think maybe this guy's gay and he's picking me up and trying to seduce me, and I'm not gay, so I don't want to really carry on with this. So we kind of kept talking for another 10-15 minutes, walking towards a certain direction, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna go home, man. nice meeting you. See you
Yeah,
later.
Cool.
And he goes, it was pushy for it. He's like, no, are you sure? Don't you want to come check out Turkey live, meet some girls? I go, no, it's okay. Nice meeting you, bro. I'm going to go. So I head.
Yeah.
As I'm heading, I bring out my phone and I voice message one of my mates. I go, bro, you wouldn't believe what just happened. I think some gay Arab dude tried to pick me up. And I said that pretty loud, right? And so,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
So I'm like, oh my God. And then as I'm walking, these two other Turkish guys hear my accent and they go, hey,
He's a mark.
are you from Australia? I
Oh
go,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, yeah, we recognize your accent. Where are you going? And I said, oh, I'm going here. And they go, oh, cool. Well, we're kind of headed that way. It's nice to meet you. They have a brief conversation and then they say, you know what? We're going to go this way. If you're going to go that way, I'll see you later. Right? This is the genius part. If you're going to go this way, I'll see you later. I go, okay, yeah, see you later. Then he says, but also, if you're interested, we're just going to go have a coffee. A Turkish coffee. Have you had one yet? No. Do you want to come? Like, just, and then we'll walk you back to your place. I said, yeah, fuck, these guys look friendly.
it's-
Why not?
Simple enough.
Right. So I go sit down. I have a Turkish tea and they're talking to me about Turkey and telling me about Istanbul. I sit down. Within 2 minutes, the drum people, they come up. They start playing the drums.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, playing the drums. And my two friends, the new friends, they pay them a little fee. Like, oh yeah, these guys do this for the Turkish people. Like
Yeah.
the tourists that come, these Turkish people like to do it for you guys.
Yeah,
It's
right.
all very common. And so he starts chatting to me, paying for drinks, paying for cigarettes, just kind of just having a bro chat with me, showing me photos of Turkish girls that you could meet,
Yeah. Yeah.
feeding me cigarettes. And then 2 hours later, we actually had a great conversation. He says to me, hey, look, we're only going to be here for tonight. So we're going to go to a club. I know you want to go back to your hotel room. So if you want to go, man, we'll see you later. Or if you want to come check out a club, come with us. And I thought, you know what? I haven't been out yet for a while. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Keeps extending. It's like
Yeah.
one thing to another.
Yes, and the thing I want to draw here is he never pushed me to do anything. He kept saying to me, hey, we're going to go this way. I know you want to go this way. So look, if you don't want to come, see you later. But if you do want to come, join us.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
kept saying that to me. And I thought, okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
We start going towards the road and he goes, hey, I'll call us a taxi. So we're waiting there and I'm finding it strange because there's a lot of taxis going by that are empty. But it's like, nah, not this one, not this one, not this one. And then one actually pulls up and they go, hey, we'll take this one. So we take this one, we enter the car and the guy starts speaking in Turkish. Then the taxi driver looks over at me, pulls out a deck of cigarettes and goes, hey, Australia? I go, yeah. And he just gives it to me. I go, what's this for? And my friends go, that's Turkish hospitality. Just because you're a tourist, we're just treating you good because
So
that's
sus, man.
That's our culture.
Yeah.
So like at this point, I'm thinking, fuck, man, the Turkish are fucking nice people. Like this is real. This is really
unassuming.
this is really nice.
Goodness.
This is really nice. Yeah. So we get to the club and he gets us in. It's pretty empty and there's two gorgeous women talking to some other guys over there. And so we sit down and he says, look, we'll buy it. I'm going to buy us some drinks. We'll get table service. Is that okay with you? I go, yeah, that's fine. We sit down, we talk for a bit, and then the two guys leave, and it's just the ladies left. So one of the guys goes and picks up these girls, and these girls come and they start talking to us, and I'm talking to this like gorgeous Russian girl, like drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
And we're actually having a good conversation. And I thought to myself, I don't know if they're here to party, I don't know if they're prostitutes, but whatever, like I'll just go with it. We finish up, the bill comes,
Yeah.
genius move. He comes up, he goes, hey, the bill is like 2,000 AUD all up. And I thought to myself, fuck, that's expensive. But he pulls out his phone and he goes, hey, I've already paid half. And he shows me his bank account with the receipt. He goes, I've paid half. Can you please pay the other half? I went, oh, well, he's paid half. It's only fair, right?
Yeah.
So I pay the other half, right? I pay the other half and then we're all good. We leave. So I'm 1K down. And as we leave, he goes, hey, bro, I'll get you a taxi to go home. So we're in the taxi and he goes, hey, just so you know, we actually covered a bit more for you back there. Do you mind if you just give us a little bit more money? And I said, look, I got no cash on me, but I'll transfer you.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And he goes, no, like, don't worry about transfer. There's an ATM close by because sometimes the transfers don't go through. So maybe it's best if you just go ATM.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, that sounds legit enough. So I just went to the ATM, withdrew about 800 AUD.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, a little bit more than that. And I'm too drunk at this point, right? I'm like, wait a minute, 800? That's a lot. Anyway, fuck it. All right, I'll give you another 800. So I ended up giving 1.6 over, so roughly 2 point something. And I maxed out my card.
Yeah.
My card, luckily, maybe a year ago, I said to myself, you're getting fucked up if you withdraw more than a K a day. Like,
Yeah.
so my card maxed out and it kept pushing like, oh, maybe we'll try another card, go to another ATM. And then kind of went, hold on a minute, what's happening here? And it clicked. And so we're in the car and I would never forget it. So I was here. So he was sitting on my left, but I'll just use Gary as an example.
Yeah. Okay.
He was real happy. He's like, oh, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And then I got my wits about me and I put my hand like on here, like just on
his neck for reference for
And so
listeners.
it was real tense because it was the taxi driver, it was his friend in the passenger seat, and
Yeah.
it was me and this other scammer at the back. And then I looked at him and I just said, I'm not giving you anything more. And he looked at me. We all kind of had this tense moment. The taxi driver was staring, everyone's staring at me.
Shit.
I'm staring at this guy in the eye, and he goes, bro, relax. We're brothers, man. If you don't want to give it, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna take you home. And then they quickly got out and they left.
Wow.
Just like that.
Just like that. And so the taxi driver drives me back and it's just silence for 10 minutes. And I'm like, shit, what just happened? And we get back to the hotel room and he just sits there and he looks at me and he goes, police, call police.
Well, wasn't the guy in on it? The driver?
The one now wasn't.
Oh.
So he looked at me and he said, police, call
Yeah.
police. And he gave me a number. He said, call police, call police.
Wow.
So I got into my hotel room. The reception person was still there and I told him what happened. And he just looked at me and he went, I'm sorry, man, you're not getting that back. Like, you're not getting that back. It happens, it's very common, but you're not getting that back. And then that was it. Like that's how I got scammed almost 4K in Istanbul.
That's a big night, man.
Yeah. So that's basically when I break it down, like how step by step they gained my trust all the way to the end. Every single thing that happened was so premeditated and so genius that I'm surprised I lasted that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was from the moment they met me to the moment the drummers came to the taxi driver to the bar, everything was a syndicate.
Yeah, it aligns so well.
Everything was just, they gave me this feeling of, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was a 6-hour con. 6 hours.
Wow.
6 hours. At the end, they made the ask.
Yep.
And so in my sales course, I always teach, don't ask until you know you have given value and they trust you.
Yep.
That's
It's sorry to cut in. It's also the way they presented you the options as well. There
Yes.
was always two options.
Yes. Always
an
One
out.
always looked better than the other.
yeah.
And they never forced you into it, but it's like,
Yes.
hey, look, you don't have to do this, but we're gonna do this,
Yeah.
or you can go do whatever you are gonna do. But you're a foreigner in a different country. What the fuck do you know what to do? Like, you don't know what to do, so you're gonna like, oh, I trust these guys. I like these guys. Let's go do that. That sounds more fun.
And it was just their language, their body language, the way everything aligned together. I learned a lot from that. That was the best sales course I've ever taken. That was obviously, I didn't want to pay that much. Obviously, I didn't want to.
No,
Yeah, but the way I still remember when it happened and I actually gave it over, until the very last moment, I still thought these guys were like my buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate that lesson so much, because yes, I was stupid. Yes, I did things that I don't condone anyone do. But at the same time, now that it's happened to me, I can help others protect themselves from it. But I also know how effective it is to know these techniques and these strategies as to how you can gain trust with someone. And as long as you use it in the right way, you can help a lot of people.
Yeah. Now, we do need to finish up as we have been going on for quite a while. I think this is one of the longest episodes we've ever done. Anything you'd like to leave for our listeners that might want to gain or lose weight? What's a quick one-liner you want to give to everyone there?
Take action. Don't give in to your stories that you tell yourself.
I would just say, just go do the thing that you keep telling yourself you're going to do.
Good lessons here. And I hopefully everyone out there has gained some motivation. I reckon I did there from the talks we had about an hour ago. If our listeners do want to find you, where can we find Gary to start?
Instagram at Gary Prime PT.
Yeah, we'll have his links down in the description. And Phil?
Instagram, philip.liao, Liao.
All in the description if you do want to find them out. We'll catch you guys on the next one. We'll sign off for this episode. Anything you do want to let us know, DM us on Instagram, Rice and Mike's Podcast, and the email riceandmikespodcast@gmail.com. Catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye. See ya.
Bye, guys.